great day whenever we can celebrate just such a robust partnership.
Together, we are closing gaps to healthcare access, and we are improving health outcomes by bringing care and services directly into our community, where patients live, where they work, where they play, and where they learn.
Wellness center that is here at Glenville, but we also have our wellness centers that are opening at Clara Westrock and then also at Mound. So we're covering our city.
In schools with school-based healthcare, students have improved school attendance, students have better performance, they're more likely to make it to the next grade, and high school graduation rates increase just from having healthcare in the schools. Also, families don't have to take as much time off of work, and in those schools they see increased engagement with the families in the schools. So this is a really big deal. This is really important for the public health in our city.
The services that we offer here at the Wellness Center are similar to anything you get at a primary care office. We can do physicals, work, sports, your annual physical. We can do lab testing. We can do immunizations. We can do urgent care visits. We can do care for chronic disease like asthma and diabetes. We also can do integrated behavioral health. Additional services we offer and we're able to expand with the grant are dental services, and we also offer telehealth services as well.
We keep underwear, socks, hygiene products, deodorant, lotion, anything, hygiene products you need. And if we don't have it, we'll find it.
This program lays a strong and sturdy foundation of health and wellness that students can build on for the rest of their lives, their long and healthy lives.
Our wellness centers are more than just a place for treatment. They are sanctuaries of holistic care, where the multifaceted health needs of our CMSD family are met with comprehensive approach.
George Washington Carver was one of the greatest inventors in American history. He discovered more than 300 uses for peanuts, which included using them in chili sauce, shampoo, shaving cream, and glue.
Born into slavery, Carver left home at a young age to pursue education. He would eventually earn a master's degree from Iowa State University. Carver went on to become the first Black faculty member at Iowa State.
After leaving Iowa State, Carver was hired at Tuskegee Institute, where he taught for 47 years. He is credited with developing the school's agriculture department into a strong research center.
While a professor at Tuskegee Institute, Carver developed groundbreaking technique using nitrogen to restore depleted soil.
While there's a good debate on who actually invented peanut butter, Carver's extensive research for peanuts contributed significantly to the popularity of peanut butter.
Carver was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame after his death. America recognized his brilliance.
That's why I am proud to attend George Washington Carver Pre-K 8 School.
Hi, welcome to Cleveland Schoolyard's annual Lantern Festival. Everything over here above your head, was made and painted by the students. We sat here in class day in and day out working on our lanterns, on the waterfall, on the lake.
One of the traditions in Chinese New Year is to create lanterns and write your wishes on them and to float them out onto water. And because it's February, we didn't think we could do anything on real water, so we created a glow black light pond installation in our Black Box Theater.
This is the year of the dragon. We have all the stations, how to say hello, how to say thank you, how to say goodbye, how to say Happy New Year, 新年快乐. I just feel like this is a great time for them build up the skills of being resilient, their hardworking, their collaboration skills, bring up their cultural awareness and global awareness. So I think this is a great time for them to grow.
We love our students, but when we see what they are capable of, it's just an amazing feeling.
Mary Church Terrell was an activist and educator who championed racial equality and women's right to vote.
She graduated from Oberlin College. She taught at the first African American public school in Washington, D.C., and became the first African American woman appointed to a school board of a major city.
Mary Church Terrell joined the anti-lynching campaign after one of her friends was murdered simply because his grocery store business competed with white businesses.
Mary Church Terrell believed African Americans would help end racial discrimination through education, work, and community activism.
Mary Church Terrell created the expression, "lifting as we climb." That phrase became the motto of the National Association of Colored Women, the group she helped found in 1896. She served as president of the group from 1896 to 1901.
In 1909, Mary Church Terrell
School District will now come to order. Mr. Stockdale, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Ellicott?
Here.
Mrs. Hudnall?
Here.
Mr. Briggs?
Here.
Mr. Hurd?
Here.
Mrs. LeBron?
Here.
Mrs. Link? Here. Dr. Sridhar?
Here.
Ms. Welchow?
Here.
There are 8 members present.
Thank you. I would ask everyone who wishes to rise and participate in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. The chair will now entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the board work session of February 13, 2024. So moved. Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Next, I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Warren Morgan to present this evening's CEO report. Dr. Morgan.
Thank you so much, Chair Ellicott, and welcome to everyone for our business meeting this month. We have a couple of presentations during the CEO report. One, I'm really excited to bring up our school spotlight in A.B. Hart, formerly Fullerton School, one of the schools I used to supervise when I was here before, so really excited to hear from Principal Payton in a moment. But first and foremost, we're concluding Black History Month, and one of the things I wanted to do was just acknowledge our Black educators. We have many across our district, not enough. One statistic, and actually thinking about Black male educators specifically within the country, represent 2% of the teaching force when we think of Black male educators. When I was here in the system before, we started a program that was just a convening for some of the Black male educators, leaders, and we worked with a group called Profound Gentlemen. I'm so excited to announce that that group has grown from when I first came here to CMSD to a group called MOCA that is still running strong. But one of the things you have up here, these are our most senior African American educators within our system by division. You can see them up here. We have teachers, we have principals, some other administrators, some from transportation services, food services, safety and security, food, more food services, paraprofessional, facilities, trades. Our majority demographic students in our district are Black students. And of course, all of our educators are important. We need all educators. We welcome them of all races, all types. But the impact that a Black educator has on our Black scholars means the world. And as we celebrate Black History Month, I not only want to celebrate our most senior Black educators in our system for the work that they've done and their contributions over time. I want to celebrate all of our Black educators and also put this as a commitment for all of us to think about how do we make sure there are mentors, educators that we have of color within our system to reflect our system, and also that there are pathways to leadership, not only teacher leadership, union leadership, school leadership. It matters when we have leaders of color in leadership, and I'm just so proud to celebrate our Black educators this month. So let's give them a hand. Without further ado, I'm proud to bring up Principal Payton, who is bringing us this month's school spotlight and bringing on the theme both of HBCU educated and his fraternity. But he's the principal of A.B. Hart. Welcome, Principal Payton.
Good evening, Dr. Morgan, board members, and community stakeholders. I am Kevin Payton, the proud principal of A.B. Hart School. I'm also a scholar at Albert Bushnell Hart School. I pledge to be a student of excellence in everything that I do. I will attend school every day. I will never give up, no matter what. I am strong. I'm a leader. I have a purpose. I'm on a mission through strength and determination. There is no limit to what I can achieve. I am not afraid to fail, because indeed, I will succeed. Because what? I am a scholar at Albert Bushnell Hart School. Ladies and gentlemen, that's who we are. That's A.B. Hart School. This is our core. This is what we do to our students. This is what we instill in our students. The secretary, the custodian, the security officers, the cafeteria workers, the teachers, yes, and the principals. We build these kids' self-esteem. We build their confidence. Because if we don't do that to these kids, what I'm here to present to you really doesn't even matter if we can't build these kids' self-esteem up to learn, because that SEL, that social-emotional learning, is the most important part for our kids. Now, let's get to the overview. Okay. We'll start off who we are, our school data. We're going to do our AAP focus areas, our partners in education, our bright spots, and then we're going to conclude with our school-specific focus and celebrations. The vision. The A.B. Hart School Academics vision is to collaborate and build positive relationships which will continually inspire scholars to be innovative thinkers and prepare scholars for high school and beyond. And the mission, I'm not going to read that, but the mission is the how are we going to do it. And if you look at the mission, you'll see create, provide, communicate, hold all scholars at a high expectation. That just aligns with our school pledge and holding kids to high expectations when they're expected to learn. I also want to highlight that, and you see through these slides, you see the 5 core values of the district: equity and inclusion, student community focus, growth and learning, care and well-being, and excellence and achievement. Each slide will have a symbol to recognize what we're doing at A.B. Hart. We are pre-K, our demographics. We are a pre-K through 8th grade school. We're relatively small with 250 students with one teacher per grade. There's some pros and cons to this, but we have to build those relationships because the teacher and the student has to get together. They have to work together because there's no moving to that other second grade teacher. So they have to work out. They have to build relationships amongst themselves. Also, we have 25 staff members, 14 black, 9 white, 2 Hispanic, 19 female, and 6 males. I just want to highlight this. Out of the 6 males, 3 out of the 6 males are black, which is 50% of our total population of teachers and black males, and which is what outweighs the total population with what Dr. Morgan just said earlier, with 2% of black males representing education. Our demographics of enrollment. So as you can see, in 2019, our enrollment was 197 students, and it's gradually increasing due to COVID. In that 2021, we took a little dip, but now we're currently at 250 students. In attendance, again, in 2019, we were at 90.4, and we peaked out at 91.4 in 2020, and then you can see that dip in 2021 due to COVID with 78.1, and we're gradually moving up the scale now, and we're currently at 84.2%. Who we are, our AAP goals. I'll talk about the multi-tier system at the next slide, but we track biweekly data in our TBTs and discuss it with our academic progress team to come up with building-wide strategies. With their math achievement, we utilize accountable talk as a way to listen and to articulate our discussions with our peers. For example, I agree with Dr. Morgan. I would like to add what Dr. Morgan said. We use sentence stems because the student first has to understand and pay attention to what's going on in the classroom and understand the comment before they can add on their findings or disagreement of their findings to that student. Now this is the blueprint of our students. Every student from 2nd grade to 8th grade has an action plan. Every teacher created these action plans for the fall. After they take the fall NWEE action plan, after they take the fall NWEA, they come up with an action plan to make sure every student can reach proficiency. And this particular slide is in yellow because this student was near proficiency. The cut score was 171. The student scored 168. But they still need the skills necessary. You see at the first column, it tells what the student actually needs to get proficiency on the next time they do the NWA. Then the other columns are with the RF 2.1. Those are actually the standards that the teacher will be teaching. And then the next column after that is the duration. And then the last column is how they're actually going to do it. For instance, the first one says with biweekly assessments. who we are, AEP goals. In our AEP, we have 4 sections. This is the special ed section. Basically, intervention specialists are going to follow students' IEP so we can fully utilize the inclusion model and make sure students are supported while they make their progress. We also use the pull in and the push out strategies. For engagement, we review student discipline data monthly to find out what is the core issues of students' behavior. Maybe it's the time of day. Students are using profanity, fighting. What is the teacher doing? Or what is the teacher actually teaching? This actually really works, especially with our middle school. I'm proud to say in our middle school, we had 2 fights in the last 5 years. Yeah. Unfortunately, those 2 fights happened this year. So, and I was upset because I told him, you broke my streak. AEP focus on instruction. Well, first, we are an inquiry school. And what I'd like to just highlight here is our demonstration of learning. Last year, we collaborated with Anton Cordino with our demonstration of learning. Our demonstration of learning is opportunities for scholars to showcase their academic learning, how it relates to real-world problems and solutions. Also, demonstration learnings are done in every subject area by every scholar, design a real-life presentation of their project using one of our fabrication labs. We had a great turnout last year. Our K through 4 students went to Anton, and their 5 through 8 came to A.B. Hurt, and it just gave the kids to see a different population to present their projects with different students and different teachers. It was great. In the PBIS, I like to highlight our A.B. Hart Heart Helpers program. This is our most recent and innovative endeavor. The middle school students applied to be mentors to our pre-K to 2nd grade students and help them with managing their emotions, positively learning, navigating classrooms and educational structures while formulating positive buddy relationships. So I like about this program, the middle school actually had to apply and interview to become a mentor with the pre-K through 2nd grade. And 80% of our middle school students really, they applied for it. There were some stipulations. You couldn't have more than 2 referrals, and you couldn't be a student who had been suspended. Our school data. We do have a little work to do here. I know our district goal in ELA and math is 65% proficiency. In ELA, we had 24.8% of our students were proficient, which was an increase of 3.7 in the year 2021 and 22. In math, we had 13.7% students were proficient, which was a 6.2% increase from 2021-22 as well. And our PI, performance index, was 54.9, which was an increase of 7.2 point increase. And as you can see in 2019, before COVID, we were well over on our way. We were on about 60%, and then COVID hit. We kind of dropped down to like 30-something. So we're in the process, and we're moving, slowly but surely, we're moving back towards that 60%. Our conditions for learning. We have made growth and excelled in every component except for grades 2 through 4 with that self-regulation. I would like to highlight 100% and 99% of our scholars feel that we're challenged and support them in their education. We'll be working with the Humanware to help our 2nd through 4th grade students to increase their self-regulation. Oh, sorry. And our partners. Our partners are a very important ingredient for our scholars and family success. From the Say Yes and Boys Hope, Girls Hope, who supports family scholars outside of the school buildings, to the City of Cleveland, EMS cadets, and the city who supports our scholars inside the buildings. We have actually one city year in every grade level to support our teachers as well when they're teaching. Our bright spots, I do want to highlight the second one first, Miss Toya Washington. She was one of our 2023 Excellent in Teaching Award. She had 85% of her students was proficient in the science portion of the test. And that is like incredible. So just a shout out to her. Then again, now I want to give a shout out to myself. At A.B. Hart, I had, during 2022, I was awarded the Ohio Alliance of Black School Educators Principal of the Year Award. Thank you. And also our boys basketball team last year, we were crowned the basketball champions. We fell short this year to Harvey Rice, who won the actual championship, and congratulations to them as well. And last but not least, our A.B. Hart team, we earned a 3-star rating on our 2023 State Ohio Report Card with a 5-star rating in student progress. And our last slide, I want to highlight our more celebration is the Peace Out Prostate Cancer event. This was an event that we did in December, and we're going to do it every year from here on out. The prostate event is, so we had community people, everybody come out, and just in the males, they took a prostate exam. And specifically, really, the black males who need to come out, that's where it's really high in our ethnicity. They did a simple blood test. Also, with this prostate cancer event, we did come up with one adult male who tested positive. We don't know who it is. It was confidential, but we potentially saved somebody's life with that. So I was part of that program. That concludes my presentation, and thank you. You have any questions, comments?
Thank you. Dr. Morgan, would you like to start?
Yes, thank you for your presentation. So and just want to congratulate you on the 3-star rating for this past year. So a couple of questions I have. I'm looking at the individual action plan that you have. I believe it's on slide 8.
Yes.
So when thinking about the strategies, and I know right now schools are in the process of developing their AAP strategies, how are teachers or whoever creates the individual plan, how is the alignment between the school-wide AAP strategy mapping to some of the individual plans? I'm just looking at some of the interventions, and it looks like for this particular student, I know this was an example, there are just multiple different strategies here, and just didn't know like what is the strategy behind picking some of the strategies and how that's going to move the needle.
Yeah, they are all aligned with the district initiatives. So we do try to follow some of the district initiatives as well and so with anything, well, the NWA, after you take the NWA, we just look at each student's score, and then we go in a little bit deeper to see what we could actually do to make sure the next time they take it, they could move up at least 10 or 20 points, or even be proficient. So all the standards are aligned with the curriculum. These particular students just need a little bit extra help and with those interventions. So when they do that, and it's actually, the teacher can actually, this is like a guide for that teacher.
My last question, it kind of reminds me of some of these questions of our network performance management sessions back in the day. But wanting to know about, now you've done 2 rounds of NWA. I've actually seen the data. We're previewing it for the board members next month of just seeing the progress. What are you learning about this year for your scholars, and any projections that you're seeing for your performance this year?
Yeah, first thing that we're trying to do is make sure, one, everybody takes the test. And then two, we are seeing a significant amount of students going from tier 3 to tier 2, to tier 2 to tier 1. And if we can, as long as we're making progress, we're doing something. Yeah, our overarching goal is for all the students to be proficient, but we are making progress with that.
All right, thank you.
Any discussion from board members? Okay, thank you so much.
So we will be moving forward in the agenda. I know there are still some items from the last CEO report that I shared from the last meeting that we'll do during the finance resolution section, so really looking forward to that. But just a couple of highlights I want to share just as I close out my report. To date, I've been in 55 of our schools, so looking forward to getting into more of those. I appreciate all the school leaders that open up the doors and have been seeing really great things as I go in to the building. Looking forward to being in 3 tomorrow. So continue to look forward to getting into the classrooms, learning what is working in our system, and also just getting out and meeting our scholars and our students. It's been really impactful. And then also really grateful to all of our staff members. We just had our first all-staff town hall today. And I know some were able to attend due to the time. There were some that may have not been able to attend, but we are recording that. You can get that out there. And also as we move forward and we look at what's the best format for doing this, we look forward to getting your feedback for this. But the heart of this is to make sure we're informing you and also that we can stay in touch and have communication. So looking forward to it, and thank you already for the feedback that you provided via Let's Talk. It's been very informative. So thank you so much. Chair Ellicott.
Thank you, Dr. Morgan. Next, we will have public participation for a period of no longer than 40 minutes. During this segment of the business meeting, we will hear all public comment on either agenda or non-agenda items. The public participation period will be for persons who previously submitted the online request to speak form, which is available on our website. Those who would like to speak have to sign up by the Monday before the board meeting, so yesterday by noon, and may address the board for up to 3 minutes each. If anyone wishing to address the board has any written material that they would like to submit, or anyone who has signed up to address the board has any written material they would like to submit to the board, please give it to Mr. Bertzloff, who is over there. I can't see him, he's behind that screen on my left, and he will distribute it to the board. As usual, we will limit each speaker to 3 minutes. We ask that each speaker respect this time limit in order to ensure that everyone has an appropriate amount of time to speak. And now I will call forward each speaker who has signed up. First, we'll have CTU President, Ms. Sherry Obrinsky.
Mr. Payton, you are far taller than I am, sir. I'll just take this out, make it easier. Good evening, Chair Aliquad, Vice Chair Hudnall, board members, and CEO Morgan. I stand here this evening and extremely frustrated and perplexed, CTU President. Like many members of our community, I was stunned when the CEO announced a projected budget deficit of $168 million. In the week since I first heard about this looming financial abyss, I have generated far more questions than answers. Questions that I hope that you will be able to answer at a time in the not too distant future, since this is a time when you listen rather than respond. My first question is around the development of the budget. The CMSD, like districts all over the country, was given several $1 million in federal relief funds. These dollars were intended to be used over a short period of time, ranging from a few months to a few years, with the last of these dollars expiring in September of this calendar year. Since you clearly knew that these dollars were temporary and would be unavailable after September of 2024, why did you include these dollars in your 5-year forecast in November of 2023? I know when I have temporary dollars in my budget, like say a winning lottery ticket, I might take a cruise to the British Isles with that money, but I will not expect to book another cruise with the expectation of new lottery dollars. I am no financial expert, but the district does employ others who are. How would any of them create a budget in which these dollars were treated like permanent income? My next question is related to my first. Again, everyone was aware that federal relief dollars were temporary and would expire no later than September of '24. With that knowledge, why has the district manufactured a deficit for the next few fiscal years? We will finish this fiscal year with a cash fund balance larger than I have ever seen in my tenure with the district, a tenure that is approaching 26 years. Eliminating the temporary spending and programming that was paid for out of temporary dollars should have returned the district to a spending level close to that of 2019. If the district is spending exponentially more than we did in 2019, which line items are you increasing to cause this dramatic increase in spending? You've indicated that the spending on schools is holding flat. These dollars have to be going somewhere else. My next question relates to the proposed elimination of extended day, extended year, and year-round calendars. As part of the creation of the Cleveland Plan, the district demanded complete control over the district calendar, including the ability to extend the school day and school year. Several schools were created with one or more of the foundational levers of the programming being an extended day, extended year, and/or year-round calendar. Several of the schools that would be impacted are high-performing schools within the district. Others serve seriously at-risk population or underserved areas of the city. What due diligence has been done on the part of the district to examine the impact of the proposed calendar changes on each of the affected schools, students, and families that they serve? Have you talked to staff, students, parents, and partners who have supported these schools about your proposed changes? I know that the CTU met with our potentially impacted building leaders and gathered a series of questions and concerns and have submitted them to the district, which have yet to be addressed. I would hope that the district is planning a transparent and systematic review of each school and program that includes the full participation of all impacted parties, that is then shared with the public before making any potentially destructive decisions.
Ms. Sobrinsky, thank you. We are at time. I'll let you finish up real quick, though.
Okay.
Thank you.
My next question is around what is being described as the elimination of the out-of-school time. Prior to 2020, we had several vendors in our school providing out-of-school time. None of these vendors were receiving financial support paid for by the district to provide this programming. Instead, they received in-kind supports like the use of school facilities and security. During the pandemic, many of these organizations faced financial challenges. The use of the recovery dollars to support these organizations provided for continued opportunities for our students while helping these organizations recover financially. Everyone involved in this arrangement should have been well aware of the expiration of federal dollars and that the district would need to return to the pre-pandemic situation of providing in-kind support rather than direct financial assistance. Everyone knew that the relief dollars were gone as of this September. And we all know that the state does not fund schools to provide out-of-school time. With
President Obrinsky.
I understand.
Thank you.
I'm almost done.
Thank you.
With the common knowledge, why did the district fail to engage these providers early this school year to determine how these programs could go forward? Why would the CEO indicate at the most recent board meeting, and then again at the meeting, I think this afternoon, that he would be meeting with them sometime soon, which I guess was yesterday, when these providers have been raising concerns with the CEO and the board at a number of previous board meetings? Why would district leadership fail to fully explain the situation to the public rather than inducing panic and giving the impression that out-of-school resources would just disappear?
Thank you.
I'm not finished.
President Obrinsky,
my next
we
question,
are at time.
My next question is in regard. My next question is in regard to summer school and summer learning. Again, the federal relief dollars presented an opportunity to create programming far beyond what the district had been funded to provide.
The time is
up. In fact, there were relief dollars that specifically targeted robust summer learning opportunities in order to help students catch up and close gaps created by the changes to learning during the COVID shutdown. Additionally, like with our out-of-school time programming during the regular school year, the district was able to financially support community partners who provided summer learning opportunities for our students. And again, everyone knew these dollars were temporary. So why did the district budget $12 million for summer learning when you knew these dollars were ending? Why would you not present a budget that reflected our financial realities for summer learning? My final question. At this
President
time is
Obrensky,
with
I have
regard
shown you
to-
more respect than you have shown me today, and we have given you more time than we allow anybody else to typically have. You also have more access to the CEO and the board than anybody else in this room does.
What I do not have is the public forum that I have right here. The questions that I'm asking this board are questions that you all should have asked the CEO a long time ago. I am asking these questions publicly so that they are on the record.
Okay,
The people behind me want to know the answers to these questions. They hear a scripted town hall with answers to questions that were submitted ahead of time. I am almost done. It will take me less than 30 seconds and I will finish. The children's story of Chicken Little reminds us that when we shout about great disaster that isn't in fact occurring, others are not inclined to believe us when there is a real crisis. When the district presents a manufactured deficit, triggering a state deficit reduction plan, and tells the public that they are cutting programs that were temporary to begin with, creating angst in our community without proper context, how do you expect the community to support us in the future when the crisis is real? How do you expect our community to square what you are saying now with the reality of the way our state underfunds our schools and is actively trying to destroy public education on the backs of poor children and children of color? How do you think anyone will be able to trust anything that you say moving forward?
President Obrensky, I will respond, and I will again say that you took at least 3 times the amount of time that we typically give everybody else. Dr. Morgan will be replying to many of these questions in the finance portion of the meeting. In future, as we say in our policies, we may restrict the right to come or the privilege to come before our meetings for those who do not abide by our policies. Thank you. Next, we will have Mr. Eric Odell.
Board members, Dr. Morgan. Thank you. It is a pleasure, or it is a privilege to speak before the board and Dr. Morgan and our educators and our parents. That's a hard act to follow. She said it best. I am just speaking on behalf of the parents whose children benefit from the after-school programs and the summer school programs. Personally, on a personal level, my 2 students attended summer school, one for the retainment portion to give him another opportunity to take the Ohio State test, and my 2nd grader for enrichment. In addition to the summer school program, this is the 2nd year that they're participating in the Cleveland Playhouse after school program. And you said it best, it is a privilege because my kids afford me this privilege. So without them, I wouldn't be here before you speaking on behalf of the enrichment programs that the district has made room for. And it benefits a lot of us in this community for the fact that the neighborhoods are not as kid-friendly as they used to be. So the extra 2 hours after school, and again with the summer school program for this, it was an opportunity to take the test again for those of us who didn't hit the mark, and for the 2 locations in this neighborhood, Adelaide and here at Whitney Young. So I can't speak enough about it, and I'm going to yield back my minute. But thank you. That's all I wanted to stand and say.
Thank you. Next, we have Sarah Moses.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, CEO, board members, family, faculty, staff members. I'm a parent. I have a child that has been attending CMSD programs, the CMSD summer experience, and this year she's in 8th grade. And let me just tell you how hard it is for teenagers to get off TikTok and want to be involved in something that deals with school. And speaking of school, it makes me think of 3 S words, and no cussing, but when I think of the CPH program, when I think of the summer learning experience program, it gives me 3 words like safety. Like the gentleman before me, these neighborhoods aren't the same. We can't just let our kids play. So those 2 hours after school, we as parents, we know that they're safe within the confines of this building. That leads me to my second point, support. The children are supported, us as parents are supported. When my daughter first started going to this program, I was finishing my degree. I didn't have money for after-school programs that cost out of pocket. I didn't have time to be worrying about who was going to be with my child. I'm trying to do what I'm supposed to do, go to college, get my degree, because that's what y'all tell the children, right? So here I'm trying to do that, and I know she's cared for. During the summer, she had her favorite teacher, Miss Serenity's, where she was learning art. Have you had 14 and 13-year-olds doing art with finger painting? Isn't that for children? They're kids. They are children. They're learning to do things that they've never done. Another S word, security. These kids are insecure. They've got TikTok, they've got Instagram, they've got all of these things. But through the summer learning program, I've seen the improvement in her self-confidence. I've seen the improvement in her grades because she wants to be a part of school, because the cool kids are actually doing well. They're going after school, they're being responsible, they're being the kids that I think that all of us know that need this program. My last point is socialization. After COVID, I've seen the isolation in my kids. It's hard. How are they supposed to be together? What are they supposed to do? All they know is text and send messages and IMs and Snapchats and all this stuff. But we brought them back into an environment where they can be face-to-face. They can learn. And if we take that away, like I teach my kids with dealing with consequences, it's 3 words. If, then what? If something happens, then something happens, what happens? If y'all take these kids away, what's going to happen? Well, the increase in the socialization, going to go down. The increase in the self-confidence, going to go down. The increase in the grades are going to go down. Then what happens? No, they're not going to be, the last word, successful. They're not going to have any of that. And that's what our children need. That's what our children deserve. And by God, that's what they will have. Thank you.
Ms. Moses, the CEO is going to provide a brief response, but like I said, we will look to respond further in the finance portion.
Yeah, well, first, I love the alliteration with the S's. And for the last 2 comments, thank you for both of those parents who shared it. I also want to note in the proposal, summer school is not, will continue. It's not being cut. So summer school will continue as we presented last week. So those summer programs will still happen, and I'm glad to hear it was a benefit. So.
Thank you, CEO Morgan. Next, we have Daia Rahman.
Good evening. I'm a little nervous, so I'm just going to jump right in. Again, my name is Daia Rahman. I am the Marketing and Advancement Manager at Open Doors Academy, which is a current CMSD partner and after-school provider. We currently serve over 1,300 scholars annually and engage over 1,600 families and partner with over 30 unique community partners and nonprofit organizations. Whew. Okay, tensions are high this evening. All right, again, I want to express my sincere gratitude to be here this evening. In 2020, I began my journey at Open Doors Academy as a program coordinator, facilitating after-school program, where I had the privilege of assisting scholars in unlocking their creative potential. Through this experience, I then transitioned as a family advocate on our family engagement department at Open Doors Academy, collaborating specifically with CMSD and other family support specialists with Say Yes to extend our reach beyond traditional avenues. As a proud graduate of CMSD and our current location of Whitney Young, class of 2008, shout out to Leah. I am deeply invested in the success of our scholars and the prosperity of our district. In the previous meeting, we discussed, in the previous board meeting, you discussed, Dr. Morgan, that measures were yet taken, or measures had not been outcomes had not been measured for summer camp success or summer enrichment, summer school success. And at Open Doors Academy, we have been able to measure that success and our outcome and impact. So I would love to share some of those statistics with you. 100% of our scholars, and we do engage our scholars 366, I like to say, so that is after school and also during the summer. But 100% of our scholars engage in ELA daily and also math enrichment. 100% of our scholars develop success plans with their coordinators. And since 2018, 97% of our scholars have graduated high school. Yes, I know, you can't clap for that. Before I introduce our parent speaker, Ms. Frankisha Bland from Orchard STEM, I do want to emphasize the segments that are echoed by our scholars. Many of our scholars will tell me, Ms. D, I only attended school today so that I can come to ODA. After school providers are pivotal to not only the daily success of our scholars, but for our families as well. Our scholars have become eager to participate in ODA programs because they find joy and fulfillment in their educational journey. Some of them even express reluctance to leave at the end of the day as a testimony to the engaging and supportive environment we strive to create as after-school providers. As we navigate the current challenges of today, COVID, and beyond, it is imperative that we prioritize not only our problems, but scholars' attendance, retention, and academic success. Open Doors Academy and other after-school providers stands as a beacon of hope, as an opportunity offering holistic approaches to education that nourishes our scholars' mind, bodies, and spirits. I urge you all to look at our website, opendoorsacademy.org. Please explore our facts, our stats, and our success stories that I have the opportunity to write every single day. Together, we are the change makers and the innovators that our scholars need and deserve. Let's ensure them that every child in our district has the resources and the support necessary to thrive. In closing, I want to thank you for your attention and your consideration. Let us work collectively and collaboratively to build a brighter future for our scholars and our family's success. I hope that the next speaker is my parent, Ms. Frankisha Bland. Is it?
It is.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Next, Frankisha Bland.
Hello, everyone. Hi. I'm super nervous to be up here, just like she was. But I am a parent of 2 students at Orchard STEM School, and they also attend Open Doors Academy after-school program, which is a wonderful program. Both of my children have found success within the program. We have had nothing but great memories being made, being in attendance with the program, or family advocacy meetings that we have where we can meet parents from other schools and discuss things that we may not know go on at the other schools that may be helpful to us, and share other ideas with other parents of the program. We do different family engagement nights, like night at the museum, Cavs games nights, and a whole bunch of other fun activities, like going to the Science Center for Science Center activities also. But one of the main things that I believe helps me and the scholars and other parents who have the opportunity to have their students engaged in the Open Doors Academy program is the constant family engagement. You're always engaged. You never feel left out. If there's problems with a parent and a teacher, they mediate those problems. They are there at the schools. They support the children. They are there for their performances and activities. They also put on performances with the children on their own. So it's nothing but a loving environment. But my thing that I want to know is, along with the after-school programs, like most parents said, the safety of our children, it's not the same as when we were younger. It's definitely not. We like to know where our children are at. We like to know who our children are around, versus them being in places where that can switch on a regular basis. Those things are very important. Just as the other parents said, safety is a big priority. Also, another thing, when your children develop bonds and connections, you want to keep those strong. You don't want to weaken them. So that's very important, along with their summer program, which has been also engaging. But that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Kelly Rabach.
Good evening, Dr. Morgan, Board of Education, and stakeholders. My name is Kelly Rabach. I'm a teacher at the Downtown Education Center. My goal tonight is to inform you of some of the things that we would like you to keep, which is our extended year schedule of 205 days. For those of you that don't know, the Downtown Education Center is a school that is housed at 2 Cuyahoga County buildings. One is the Metropolitan Center on 3343 Community College Avenue, and we house the students that the courts put in by a magistrate, judge, home detention officer, or probation officer, and are educated by 3 CMSD teachers within that building. They are getting a youth intervention community-based program while they're there on top of their education. We also have the Cuyahoga County Juvenile Detention Center. That is located at 9300 Quincy Avenue. We have 19 teachers that are educating any and all of the youth that are being incarcerated there. Our 205-day schedule is very important to us. The 20 extra days are strictly instruction. Not one of those days is used for teacher planning. It is considered just instruction with those children that need it. The youths in our classroom are usually 1 to 2 grade levels below where they should be academically. Having an extended year schedule helps our staff to offer our students continuous support. The extended year offers our students a chance to be educated when they normally would not attend school. Right now, we have a lot of Cleveland CMSD kids that don't even have a home school within the power school. So these are kids that generally do not even attend school when they are out of the detention center. On average, they earn 5 to 6 credits of work, which we then bring them up at least 1 grade level. Many of our students get to go back to their correct grade level and even graduate. We graduate on average roughly about, anywhere between 15 to 20 students a year. We graduate them when they finish. We don't wait till June. We graduate them the day they finish and have a little ceremony for them. Besides earning credits, most of our students' growth is in their reading lexile scores. Most of these students come to us maybe being 16, 17 years old, and they're reading at the 2nd and 3rd grade level. The results of our assessments that we give them, which we do based on our computer-based school, result in the individual needs of these students being met. There's a little bit of confusion as to why you would consider getting rid of the extended day schedule for our school. I meet with county representatives every week, whether it's through the Metropolitan Center or through the detention center. Their question to me is always, we do not charge CMSD to have a school in our building. There's no renter's fee. And we as CMSD charge the students in Cuyahoga County that are not a CMSD student to get their education. We charge them twice a year, once for the fall semester, once for the spring semester. The data I have is from the fall semester of last school year, the 2022-23 school year, where we charged per day a special ed student $350.38 to their district to educate them at our facilities. A regular ed student from a non-CMSD school that is in Cuyahoga County was $254.43 per day. So when I'm going into
I would just ask you to take a few minutes to close up because we're over time.
Okay. But what I'm asking, and I keep getting asked, is why would they consider closing such a school? I do have 3 letters I do want to share, and I will give them to the gentleman over there. Tim McDivitt, the court administrator for the Cuyahoga County Juvenile Detention, as well as Gabrielle Celeste, who is the policy director and co-director of Childhood Studies Program, Schubert Center for Childhood Studies,
through Case Western Reserve, as well as Leah Winsberg, who is a senior policy attorney for the Children's Law Center.
Thank you. We are over time. I do know that the CEO can respond to a part of your comment, though, and give you some information, though we will talk more about it in the finance resolution.
Yes, thank you so much. I know thank you so much. I know there are a couple that are on the calendar, which we'll address more in the finance resolution. Of course, no decisions have been made around the calendar yet, even though it's included in our plan. We will be presenting a draft plan to the board next month, and there'll be a month they'll sit where we can still get more information before a decision's made and voted on. The other thing I'll mention regarding the Downtown Education Center, one of the things I mentioned last week, that is a program we're not potentially considering. Some of our alternative programs we're not potentially considering for that. So I just wanted to let you know that's one we're potentially not considering for this, given our alternative programs. And I did mention that last week because there are some unique cases. So I do appreciate you sharing that, and point taken. Yeah.
Thank you. Next, Stacy Stegert.
Thank you, Dr. Morgan and the board and everybody from the community for being here tonight. My wife, Polly Carr, also put in for public comment, but she's home with sick kids, so I am going to speak on behalf of both of us. My wife and I are Cleveland residents, and we have 3 children in CMSD schools. We were disheartened to hear Dr. Morgan state at the February 13th school board meeting that extended school year and extended school day schools create equity issues. This is absolutely incorrect. I believe that Dr. Morgan and the board are misusing the word equity here in order to justify cutting necessary supports. If this is an economic reality for our district, it should be presented to parents and the community in that way. To call this an equity issue is disingenuous. Extended school year and extended school day work for students, and we should aim to offer that to more children, not remove it from schools where it is working. Part of what makes the CMSD portfolio model unique and successful is giving parents voice and choice in how their children are educated. Extended day and extended year are part of that voice. The schools that have extended year and day are spread throughout the district, and most are open enrollment. These schools are available for any student. One of the district's core values is excellence and achievement, and one of the district's strategic priorities is a strong and engaging instructional core. Extended school day and year help the district meet these goals and values. For example, my children attend the Campus International K-8 school, and at CIS, the percentage of students scoring at proficient or better on the reading and math OSTs last year at Campus International exceeded the district average and in many cases exceeded the state average in multiple grade levels. CIS's performance index was 72.3, while the district's overall PI was 50.9. CIS's gap closing measure was 59.2, while the district's was 33.3. We should strive to provide this opportunity for more students to improve CMSD's measures of excellence rather than removing a structure that helps our children excel. Extended school year and day were in place prior to the pandemic and so should not be impacted by the elimination of ESSER funds. If we want more CMSD schools to meet state standards, we should not eliminate extended school day and year, and we should offer that opportunity in more locations. For these reasons and many others, we sincerely hope that the board will reconsider this decision.
Thank you. Next, Yolanda James.
Good evening to all. Good afternoon, however it goes.
Good evening.
Thank you all for allowing me to speak. And I am amazed and I'm excited about everything that has been said here this evening. Sherry, thank you. Finally, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if I really should turn around and talk to them, but at our schools we teach behavior. I just want to encourage you. Sometimes we need to check ourselves because the nastiness, our children are already struggling and going through. And so when I look at you tonight, it's not acceptable to me the way you're addressing us when we're trying to make a point or trying to get something across. So check yourself before you wreck yourself, is what a songwriter said. What I want to say is how long you're going to keep us in the wilderness. How long are you going to keep us as the staff in darkness? And I'm going to turn around and say for all of us, it's time for us to take a stand. Make a change, get up and stand up. And it's time for us to fight back for what we really want. Stop sitting, stop talking, and start doing. If I say nothing else, it's time for us to do better than what we are doing. You do what you want to do to us. You give us what you want to give us. It's all about the students. You don't care about the staff. You really try to pretend like you do, but it does not appear. When I look at the board, I see, and it's not to be prejudiced, I see less minorities on it. I see less, and you say we have this, and this. What I want to say is, how long are you going to keep us in the darkness with your false lies? How long? How long? Are we really going to go somewhere? Are we really going to take a stand and things are going to change instead of cutting off? And as they was talking about these programs, I was one of those that worked, thank you, Cleveland Playhouse, and I saw the excitement of the students. It made a difference in their lives and in their parents' lives. Even though some didn't get there to get them on time, it did not matter, because that child was still excited, learning something, doing something better even for themselves, and wanting to be better. I'm going to move quickly so that you don't cut me off. Tell me again, whose side are you really leaning on? How long are you going to stay in the wilderness when we've already come out of the wilderness, yet you're taking us back in the wilderness? I like what the sister said about the S's. Time is spent, money's that's going somewhere when it should be. The money's is there, but every time we look up, I find it ironic that every time they get ready to make negotiations, the monies fall short. Where is the dollars? You say for the students, iPads, this, that, and the other. What about the trueness of your staff? When are you really going to step out of the wilderness and do something great for us?
Next, Roberta Cathcart. Ms. Cathcart, before your time starts, I know you had an issue receiving responses. Did that get resolved for you?
I haven't gotten anything by mail. But
Okay, but you have gotten communications via email to try to resolve it?
No, I only saw it on the board docs.
Okay, well, we'll have to check in with that again. Thank you for letting me know.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, all right.
Please go ahead.
Okay, good evening. My name is Roberta Cathcart, and I'm a preschool para at Hannah Gibbons. First off, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Morgan, for visiting our school as promised, and I'm glad you came down to personally see me to tell me that you had a pleasant visit. But I am wondering if you would ever consider dropping by unannounced to see any one of our 96 schools. I think in that scenario, you'd see truly what working in this district is like. Now, it is true that most people want to be seen at peak performance, and I, as well as many others, appreciate having the opportunity to put our best foot forward. We had a chance to tidy our classrooms, to post student work with their related standards, and to make sure all the boxes are out of sight. But I think it's safe to say that what you're learning is that as a district, anyone is capable of putting on a pretty face when they have to. What I really want you to see, though, is how many different hats teachers and paras are forced to wear at any given moment of any given day. It's the way teachers are facing overcrowded classrooms due to splits, the way kids are suffering because they haven't had a teacher yet this year or even a consistent substitute. And don't get me started on the behaviors. Behaviors that garner little to no consequence, all the while leaving the ones who want to learn temporarily stranded. The way that I have had to personally step in to break up fights, yes, it happens in preschools in Little People Land, and I'm not a big person. It makes me feel more like a bouncer than an educator, and this is simply unacceptable, period. I am aware of the job fairs, and I'm hopeful, as you are, that some positions will be filled to erase our already heavy workloads. Perhaps I could be as resourceful as Lisa Riley, who always comes with wonderful ideas and suggestions for how the district could pinch pennies here and there, but frankly, that is not in my job description and definitely above my pay grade. I do have a final question regarding the big bad deficit. Since there's no money to negotiate for fair wages, specifically living wages for paraprofessionals, would you and your executive leadership team consider taking a pay cut to help fill the hole?
Thank you. Next, Andrea Dockery-Murray, please. And Ms. Roebuck, you will be next right after.
Good evening, Dr. Morgan, Chair Ellicott, distinguished members of the Board of Education. My name is Andrea Dockery-Murray. I am the art teacher at John Adams College and Career Academy, along with the travel advisor. I come before you this evening again to tell you that we are still in a place where we need to secure funding for our trip, which is in 25 days. My ask is for all of the board members that have the expertise. 44% of you have expertise in education, finance, and business. I'm asking for you to make a phone call, send an email, a text, so that the students that are scheduled to go to Greece in 25 days will have that opportunity. All the paperwork is completed from the last time that we had our conversation in January, yet the financial threshold has been keeping a chokehold on us all year. We are still in need of the money. We hope that the scheduled television appearance tonight at 11 o'clock on Channel 5 will yield the donations that the student travelers need to go. But I'd like to know, how can this body help us? What can this body do to help us with this goal? This is a district that prides itself on one of the core values of equity and inclusion, yet one school got 20 grants, and the other schools were kind of left high and dry. My school was denied 3 times. Dr. Roebuck's school was denied 2 times. So we'd like to know, what do we need to do? Because we have secured more than $22,000 between the two of us, yet we still have more money to raise by Thursday. We raised $2,800 since the last board meeting, and that does not include the thousands of dollars that our families paid with their own money. Our families and our supporters, I know, are here this evening. If you could wave or stand up, please do. Dr. Morgan, we never got clarity on why we got denied. We only know there was no bueno, no explanation. It just seems very interesting that John Adams and John Kennedy were denied. I mean, 5 denials seems a bit excessive in the district with equity and inclusion. So I close in saying that we want this body to use its reach, its star power, to help us help our students. We have 16 students that are vying to go to the other side of the world. So we're just asking that you do what you should do as a body to help close that gap and give us the opportunity to visit Greece. And as always, Dr. Morgan, I'm waiting for you in room 148 at John Adams College and Career Academy.
Thank you. Next, Susan Roebuck.
Thank you. Greetings, Dr. Morgan, all stakeholders present, and our valued school board members. You are valued because it is our hope that you function in the best interest of stakeholders, holding our school district accountable for doing the right things. My name is Dr. Susan Roebuck, Head School Counselor and Travel Club Advisor at John F. Kennedy High School. I am here for a second time, representing 9 student travelers from our school and 6 from John Adams, in order to secure funding for our Greece trip in 25 days. Passports and enrollment fees have been paid, and the community has rallied behind us, making generous donations. We appreciate you, CEO Dr. Morgan and CAO Dr. Florence, for positively responding to our initial plea at last month's school board meeting. Thank you for expeditiously communicating to finalize school district travel documents and for ultimately approving our upcoming trip to Greece. Our concern has gotten the attention of the media, and it is our hope that more donations will be made. You have heard Mrs. Dockery Murray stating the financial gains made, but we still must match what we have raised in a short time and what we've paid. You may ask how we got here. There is a question of inequity, approval, and distribution of funding for student opportunities within our school district. It appears that demographics and location of the school may be the deciding factor on which schools get highlighted and awarded, as opposed to those that get overlooked and dismissed. I close by asking for those board members who have the financial and business connections to use your power and privilege to make a phone call or send an email to financially support our students in their international educational learning endeavor. It is our hope that we are also financially supported as the other 11 CMSD schools traveling internationally this school year have been. I thank you for the opportunity to come before you this evening and look forward to taking our students to Greece, March 23rd through the 30th, 2024. Be blessed.
Question, Ms. Roebuck, just to clarify, when you say you applied for funding and did not receive it and other schools did, are you talking about the Get More Opportunities Fund?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I think, Dr. Morgan, would you like to add a comment?
Oh, yeah, no, just wanted to say I'm glad we were able to get your paperwork in, get you approved. How much are you looking for now? What is your balance? $29,200.
Because we have some families that have been on the struggle bus. You know, they paid the enrollment fee, they paid the insurance to ensure if something were to happen, they wouldn't lose out.
Yeah.
And, you know, we raised like $22,000.
Yeah.
We raised $2,000 this last trip.
Congrats.
But it's just, you know, the trip is like $3,800 a student.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then passports.
Yeah.
So there are just lots of complexities, you know, from the document last month.
Yeah.
We're not trying to, you know, pillage anybody. We want the money to go directly to their accounts.
Yeah.
Each student has their own account. I can share those with you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely would love to hear more as your fundraising efforts. I know you got your paperwork in. Thank you for getting that in. And from this, we did, of course, as a district, build out guidance. And, you know, one of the things we're looking at are I couldn't agree with you more. We need to make sure there are equitable opportunities. And how do we make sure that we get this? So you're singing my tune. Good luck in your fundraising efforts.
Thank you. Next, we have Eugene Brown.
Good evening, Dr. Morgan, school board members.
Good evening.
I am here as the representative of the Lee Harvey Community Association here in Ward 1. And I welcome you to the Lee Harvey Community Association and the community of Ward 1. Our councilman is here, Joe Jones. I'm glad he showed up to be in this midst. We do have a problem at one of our schools, and Mrs. Shirley, come on up, Shirley. Mrs. Shirley Williams is a part of my board. I do have a letter that I sent to the principal at Adlai Stevens School and it reads as such. Welcome to the Lee Harvey community, Ward 1. Thank you for being a part of this community. As principal of Adlai Stevenson School, we welcome you here. Also, we pray that we will work together for the betterment of our children and our school. Please find below a list of issues and for members from the Joanne Community Street Club, Evermere Street Club, and also the Councilman Joe Jones regarding Adlai Stevenson School complaint. The complaint is students' code behavior. We know about bullying in different schools, but we seem to have that happening at Adlai Stevenson School, which used to be a premier school in this community, along with Whitney Young, which has been stripped of all its premier. Whitney Young used to be a school that was known nationwide. Nationwide. Now it's a charter school with less than what they're supposed to have. And we are very, very upset with that. Shirley Williams is the lady that was up here with me because her son came from Cincinnati, Ohio, to join Whitney Young School, which is right around the corner from her. Adlai Stevens, I'm sorry. Adlai Stevens School, which is right around the corner from her. And since he's been in that school, he's been bullied, he's been beat up, he is a small kid, and we are getting sick and tired of these principals and these teachers not knowing what's going on in their school. And this is what's happening there. Shirley, would you tell them?
So far, my grandson has been there since September. It actually supposed to start in September. They put him off and started him in October. He has been bullied every other day from that time to January. Almost, what was it, 24th was the last incident. And this is the first peaceful time we've had since he's been there. But I need to get like a letter of reference on what is happening, because I never find out until a week later that he's been beaten, or either the day he come home bloody or with the black eye. And I called and called and called. I called the board. I didn't get anybody. Somebody called me back, but nobody came out to this meeting we had. And I wanted to know, what do I have to do? Because I want to, when something happens to my child or anyone's child, I want to know it. Because I don't want to wait a week later when they're going in the hospital. I had to take them to the hospital. I couldn't even tell them what happened, because everybody said, well, we don't know nothing. We didn't see nothing. But somebody had to see something, because he came home all bloody and cut up. His clothes was ripped up. And this is every other day for the length of that time that he's been at the school. I don't understand it. And they first told us that he started. Okay, I asked him, I said, well, show me the video with him starting something, because he wasn't like that when he came here. But now they got him to the point of jumping back, trying to fight back and stuff. I don't want him fighting. I don't want him to have to fight every day to stay somewhere or do his work or be in a school. So that's my problem. Safety, period. And then they talking about after-school programs. I would be afraid to even let him go to after-school programs. If that's happening during the day when the school is there in full occupancy and nobody sees nothing, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I want to just say I'm very sorry to hear this, and thank you for coming to let us know. I'm sorry that it's come to this. I know that Dr. Morgan will have a response to connect you to a resource.
Yeah, thank you for sharing this. Thank you for bringing this. We take this very seriously. I am going to ask that you connect with Dr. Florence, who is here. We want to get your information, follow up, find out what's happening with the school and how we can support that. So
appreciate it, sir.
Dr. Florence, who's our Chief Academic Officer, she's right back. Yeah, she's waving right behind you. Let's get your information, and we're going to follow up with you. Thank you for bringing that.
Thank you.
We need to fix this. Thank you.
All right, and then our final speaker is Susan Meeker. Yeah, you may go ahead.
Good evening. I'm here to urge the board to say no to eliminating extended time schools as put forth in the deficit reduction plan. In doing so, you're depriving these children of invaluable learning time, and you're forcing a lot of us, a lot of staff, to take a huge pay cut. Yet, you're proposing to cut only 25 central office staff. I recently presented data to the board, I may be mistaken, about our bloated administration, but really what I heard was 25 cuts. Dr. Morgan, you and your team, 14 people by my count, earn over $2.5 million per year, and that's without accounting for additional benefits, such as your $750 per month car allowance. Are there any cuts planned in your team? You also basically stated last board meeting that ending the $10 million plus lease at 1111, which I also spoke about, is negligible in the face of such a large looming deficit. It's not right. I teach at Campus International, one of the schools that would be affected by your proposal. Your plan means that us teachers are going to lose essential professional development days as we plan in our International Baccalaureate program. Your plan also means that me and my colleagues are taking an 11.4% pay cut. An 11.4% pay cut. Can any of you imagine taking an 11.4% pay cut in this economy? It's hugely significant, and it's unexpected, especially for newer teachers lower on the pay scale than I. Many of these teachers and paraprofessionals already have second and third jobs to make ends meet. So, if the board indeed approves this measure tonight, I have a proposal that I hope the board will consider to make things right. My proposal is, mirrors what Ms. Cathcart said, if my colleagues and I are forced to take an 11.4 pay reduction, then I propose that the CEO and your leadership team, the highest paid staff in the district, also take an 11.4% pay cut. It's only right and it makes fiscal sense. Dr. Morgan, 11.4% of your salary is $32,490. That's just about the salary for a level 5 professional. A paraprofessional, excuse me. New paraprofessionals on level 1 start off at $28,076. An 11.4 pay reduction would be an incredible gesture of solidarity and goodwill to our stakeholders. You'd save this district almost $300,000. Plus, you'd be doing your part, like you're asking us to do our part, to make a dent in the deficit, and it really wouldn't even dent your salaries that much. Your pay cuts would not even directly affect children like ours will. Losing extended time will negatively impact students. Again, the CEO and his team make $22.5 million per year, excluding additional benefits. And it's an excessive sum for a district in financial distress. And soon, you're going to need to seek a levy. If you and your team gave back that same 11.4% you're asking us to give back, it sure would go a long way in convincing taxpayers to support a levy. You put your money where your mouth is. $300,000 really isn't a lot to give back in light of a combined salary. I hope I get the extra 30 seconds that everybody else did. Extra combined salary of over $2.5 million, but it's not small. It is not small to paraprofessionals making poverty wages. It is not small to new teachers making $50,000 a year working in terrible, unsupported conditions. It is not small to Cleveland taxpayers. It is not small to Cleveland voters, and it is certainly not small to Cleveland students. It's not small at all. In fact, if you accepted this proposal, it would be a groundbreaking action. I've provided you with a handout of what I'm proposing. I hope you seriously consider it, or at least something similar to it, and I hope you seriously respond to me with no fluff. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Just a couple of things I want to note. More than 25 positions. That's phase one. We have more than that to do at central office. And also, just note, even for the figures you did there, with this proposal, we haven't decided what we're doing with the calendars, but that takes $14 million. So there's still more work to do. So just want to note, thank you for that. Thank you for the suggestion. Thank you for bringing solutions. That's what we're looking for. So thank you.
Thank you. So again, I do want to comment that there will be discussion around the finance resolutions. I know, and the budget plans. I know that Dr. Morgan is looking to give answers to the community. I know that the board will have questions. If you're not able to stay to hear, please take the time to check it out on our, I believe it's through our website that you can view. It's on YouTube, but look, we'll have to post it because it's on YouTube through the website. All right. Next, the board will consider the adoption of 7 resolutions in the areas of finance, academics, and equity and culture. The board discussed each of these resolutions initially at our February 13th board work session. The board will now entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 6.01, approving and submitting a deficit reduction plan to the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce. Thank you. Dr. Morgan.
With this resolution, the Board of Education will be approving the school district's deficit reduction plan, which must be submitted to the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce by February 29th. Under Ohio law, since the school district's most recent 5-year forecast adopted by the school board on November 21st, 2023 projected deficits in any of the first 3 years of the 5-year period, the school district must submit a board-approved written plan to eliminate any current year deficits and to avoid the projected future deficits. CMSD's proposed deficit reduction plan sets forth our strategy for reducing expenditures over the next 3 fiscal years in order to eliminate these projected deficits. In order to meet our February 29th deadline for submitting this plan to the Department of Education and Workforce, the board will need to vote on to approve a deficit reduction plan this evening. At the February 13th board work session, Chief Financial Officer Kevin Stockdale and I presented the proposed deficit reduction plan to the board and the community. Since that board meeting, I have had the opportunity to discuss the plan with numerous stakeholders, including students, parents, teachers, principals, and other district employees, Cleveland City Council, Governor DeWine, state legislators, foundations, out-of-school providers, and media. Mr. Stockdale and I will now we'll bring up that presentation just to see if there are any questions that we have. So we have that presentation up, and we'll ask if there are board member questions. There are a few things I did want to state on the onset, just thinking about some of the questions that were asked in the previous, during the public comment. First, I want to reiterate that this is not our budget. Our budget is approved every year in the spring, and to President Obrinsky, this budget that we're currently in was not, we did not create this budget. This was the budget that was created and approved by the board last June. So I just want to make sure as you were asking that question that is directed correctly. I also just want to note that we did do presentations both to CTU leadership on November 1st and then to all union leadership the following week, 2 weeks later on November 13th, prior to submitting our 5-year forecast. So I just want to make sure that the 5-year forecast that was projected that we have there. This plan is our plan to show how we will be in the black over the next couple of years, but it is not our budget. Our budgeting process, even when you're thinking about all the work we have to do at central office, some of the work we have to do, these are proposals and strategies for how we will get there, but there's still more work that we have to do as a district to actually create our budget. And that's the work that we're doing. So this is our state deficit reduction plan, and I just wanted to make sure that that is clear. We have to submit that. We did not go to the state. It is projected based on the 5-year forecast. I also want to be clear. This was always the year, the 24-25 school year was always the year that we were going to have a deficit. If you look at the 5-year forecast from November 2022, May 2023, November in 2021, all of these prior to me coming here and presenting the 5-year forecast that we presented in November of 2023, they all show deficits starting the 24-25 school year. So yes, I do agree. How do we get here? What are the questions? And it has been communicated. It's been communicated by the previous administration. We're communicating it now. It is also not of any surprise to anyone that ESSER dollars were going away. Those were things that we noted. They were also baked into the 5-year forecast that the previous administration shared. So this is the same message that has been shared. And the district, this same district had to submit a state deficit plan. The same deficit plan we had to submit in 2019. So we've been here before. I've never said that this was something really big and daunting. It is something we have to really figure out and do, but I know we can get through it. We've been through it before, we can do it again. And so I just want to make sure that we all take a deep breath. There are some tough decisions that need to be made with this, but we're doing this in light of our scholars. We're doing it with our community in mind. We've been here before, and we will get through it. So I just want to make sure I just open through that, just responding to some of the comments, and make sure that those facts were shared just as we were putting that information out there. I will turn it to Chair Ellicott because I don't know if you want to ask questions of board members.
So normally I would try to turn it over to my colleagues for questions first, but I do have I appreciate that outline or that clarification that you shared about the deficit reduction plan versus the budget. Can you or Mr. Stockdale share more about how this plan informs the budget, what the steps are between this plan and the budget, what the board and the CEO's office will be doing from here to the time of adopting the actual budget, and what this plan really means for it?
Yes, I will start, and then, actually, do you have the, where is the clicker? In this way? Yeah, if I can get it. I just want to highlight a couple of things, and then I am going to turn it over to my colleague, who's our Chief Financial Officer. Thank you so much. Should have asked for this a while ago. Thank you. I want to point us here because this is what prompted this. This is the 5-year forecast that is presented. We presented this in November 2023. We have to present it every May and May and November of every year. In the 5-year forecast, the bottom row there is what prompts state action. Whenever we are showing that we are going to have a negative balance in two fiscal years or 2 school years back to back, it prompts us needing to do a state plan. So what we presented last week was showing you our 5-year forecast, showing you the numbers that were in it. We also focused on the deficit. If you look at the 3rd row, starting next year, if we don't do anything with our plan or do any of the adjustments we made, we will have a deficit of $143 million. This is also coincides very similarly to numbers that were presented by the previous administration when looking at 5-year forecasts. I want to answer Chair Ellicott's question. I'm going to fast forward to after once we've done the work, if this plan is approved by the board and goes to the state, this is what the 5-year forecast would look like. You look at the bottom row. The bottom row shows the ending cash year balance for the next 2 years. We will fulfill being in the black for the next 2 years, but if you look at the 3rd row, we would still have a deficit starting next year of about $66 million. So there's still work to do. What this does, this shows our general revenue fund, our funds that we have and the funds that we have to work with. It gives us guardrails and guidelines for the work that we actually have to do. So when we're looking at the central office cuts that we've mentioned that we are doing a phase 1 of central office cuts that our former speaker mentioned to the 25 positions. But there's a phase 2 that I want to make sure that is included here of $41 million that we're cutting from central office that are coming from personnel, contractual services, and non-personnel. The budget will be specific line items of what are actually the cuts. Who are the people that may be recommended at central office for cuts. This is the work that we're doing over the next few months, and also we'll be communicating that to the work, but it's the specific line items, and that's what gets approved through the budget. But this is a framework. It gives us the numbers of where we need to hit. It gives us the targets, and it also fulfills that we have a state, with our state, that we are in financial good health. If you want to add anything, Mr. Stockdale.
Yeah, I would add that this deficit reduction plan is being used as the core around which we're building our budget for the upcoming year. And these reductions that we're planning on now will be reviewed and accepted by the Department of Education and Workforce. If through the budget process we decide to change course on any of these actions, we would still have that ability. It would mean coming back to the board potentially for a revision to the plan. And then following our normal timeline, we'll have a budget that we will bring to the board in May or more likely June. But we will be having interim check-ins, as Dr. Morgan has previously promised, to talk about the central office reductions that will make up the remainder of this in April or May.
Thank you. That's really helpful. So to clarify, this plan that we submit to the Department of Education and Workforce is a way to show them that there is a way for us to get in the black. It does not mean that we have to use this exact plan when we, as we work through these details. And it also means that there are still details to be hammered out under this plan? Yes. Okay. Thank you. And then I had a question, some wonderings I had, but also reinforced by the comments that we had today. So regarding summer learning, I noticed that in particular the speakers that we had today benefited from really wonderful programs that operate in our schools as out of school time. I also know that those programs were operating in our schools, just the ones of the names I've heard, were operating in our schools prior to the ESSER funds. So, and I know that looking at this plan, our budget did not have funds in it to pay out of school time providers. So how were they operating before that time? And how are they paying for their programming?
Great question. This varies from program to program. I did get a chance to meet with our out-of-school time providers yesterday, and that's feedback we're continuing to gather. As I mentioned to our out-of-school time providers, I want to make sure we can continue the programs. But as you look on this slide here, what we were paying pre-pandemic was $0 towards our out-of-school time providers, and that increased to $17 million because we had the ARP ESSER dollars. We had nearly $500 million in ARP ESSER funds that we're really grateful for. Those were federal dollars that were, we were given to them for a short amount of time for a very extraordinary purpose. And I'll come back to a comment also from public comment on ESSER that I want to make sure is clarified as well. But as you look here, we were able to expand our program, and many of our providers, such as, you know, I've heard Playhouse was mentioned several times. These are providers that have been with us for a long time. We've had wraparound services. They've been in our schools prior to the pandemic. And so the work that we're doing now is figuring out the path forward. This is not sustainable for the district to have $17 million that we're doing directly to those programs. And I want to make sure that we figure out how was it funded before? What are ways that we can really think to seek funding? Because these programs are really valuable. As I met with all the out-of-school time providers yesterday, no one in the room could disagree whether the programs were not valuable or not. Some have specific metrics around it. Some may need more specific metrics, or as a district, we need more specific metrics around it. But no one could take away the value that the programs are really providing, and we need to think about a path forward. And so this is just us really figuring out the funds are going away. This is not us saying out-of-school time is being cut or abolished. It's us saying the funds are going away. How can we actually really figure out how to continue this programming? The other thing I will note, and something else I want to make sure is clarified, CMSD is not cutting all after-school programs. There are after-school programs to the tune of almost 400 that are district-provided. Our athletic programs, things such as our music programs, the arts. Some of these programs are programs that after-school programs that our teachers may run. These are programs that are not included in this out-of-school time budget that I also want to make sure is cleared up.
Okay, so I do want to I want to look at everyone and clarify that. And if there are media inquiries, I'm more than happy to speak to folks. CMSD not being the primary source of funding for out-of-school time programs is different than CMSD cutting the programs. So the intent, I think, for CEO Morgan is to keep the programs and help them get back to how they were previously funded, as opposed to them being funded by ESSER dollars from the district, because we simply don't have those ESSER dollars. And then I have more questions, but I'll turn it over to my colleagues. Is there any other discussion? Mr. Hurd?
Yes. Thank you. And I'm not sure if this is this question is for Mr. Stockdale or the CEO or both. The Mackenzie Scott money, my question is if a decision is made to return that money to its original purpose, what impact does it have on this plan, or does it have an impact?
That's a great question. One of the things that we previously stated that when the Mackenzie Scott dollars were given last school year, it was in our general fund. So it was included already in the general fund. These were not funds. Of course, it was sitting at the Cleveland Foundation. So it was sitting at the Cleveland Foundation. But as the previous administration presented in March at a work session, as well as in May of last year, the funds were already included in the general fund. So it was included in our general fund, it's included in the budget. You asked what would the impact be, whether the decisions are made. And I also want to clarify, the Mackenzie Scott gift was an unrestricted gift. So that's the unrestricted gift we got. Sometimes that is confused with the Get More program that was not in the board resolution, but it was a program that was created for how we would use the Mackenzie Scott gift. So the Mackenzie Scott dollars alone were already included in the budget. It was included last year, and then there was a program created to do that. If there's anything that will be adjusted, and I know right now we're in the process of gathering feedback, there's been community feedback around that, regarding the Get More program. It may mean that there are different choices that we may make, not necessarily in terms of the programs that we're putting here for the budget, but there may be more cuts to central office. There may be more impacts that we have to make those adjustments. And that's with any of these things within the plan. As we look at any of the information that is on the plan here, if there are any adjustments to that, that just means the funding is coming from somewhere else, because we still have to hit the bottom line here of hitting our state target. I don't know if that answered your question, and I don't know if you would add any more, Mr. Stockdale.
The other question is within the reduction deficit narrative letter that's attached here, and it references the Scott money, but it references $20 million, and it's my understanding that we've encumbered $4 million.
Yeah, so $2.7 million was awarded through the last cycle total, and 17.6 million total, I believe, is what remains, including the earnings from the investment.
Okay. But the narrative letter says 20 million.
20 million being the initial value of the gift, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mrs. Hudnall first, and then Dr. Schroeder.
I wanted to ask a question related to the gift from Mackenzie Scott, following up on Mr. Hurd's question. So I wanted to be clear, based on some of the public comments we got tonight around the data that we found during the pilot year of the Get More Opportunities Fund. Could you clarify if the comments were correct that the majority or the lion's share of the grants made through that fund went to one school? Is that right?
So there were multiple schools, but a few data points I wanted to share here. The majority of the funds went to 7 schools in our entire district. So of course we're a district of over 100 schools. They went to 7 schools. When I talked to City Council, only half of the wards were represented in the funds that were given so far. In one ward in particular, representing the central neighborhood, there were 25 grants last year, and 22 of the 25 went to Campus International. And so you heard the 2 educators coming up around their Greece trip. One school is JFK, one is John Adams. I'm not sure about John Adams, but I know JFK was awarded 0 grants. They did apply 3 times and were not given. They are actually correct that there were some student trips that were funded and some that were not. So we do think, even as we look at this program, there are equity things that we need to look at. And we're very grateful for a gift and grateful for the opportunity for student voice to be there. And when we're thinking about our deficit, and we do understand what equity means. I do know what equity means. I know that was one of the questions. Equity means that we make sure if we're trying to hit the bar, we're giving more to the least of these. And when looking at programs like this, and you're seeing some of the schools that we have, some of our lower performing schools, we need to make sure we get them there. Whether that is, what we're looking at for the program or anything we're doing here, we do have some work to do really around equity and inclusion.
Thank you. Dr. Schroeder.
I think this is a question for Mr. Stockdale. So I'm looking at this chart, and I want everybody who's looking at this chart to understand it clearly. I want to, the question is really about the top line, the total revenues line. So first of all, is there an explanation for how that revenue dropped from $720 million to $662 million this year. And I've been sitting here, looking at the historical documents of, from November of 23 and November of 22 and so on. And again, there's changes in those numbers. So could you explain to the public about how this chart is generated and what those revenue numbers are, and how also why this drop occurred?
Sure. The total revenue numbers are the things that you typically think of as revenue, which are tax revenue, state aid, reimbursements, as well as money that is transferred between funds. And so we have money that is transferred out of the general fund at the end of every year and then transferred back into the general fund at the beginning of the year. That number is not known for next fiscal year, and it will be adjusted in the final budget that is brought before the board in June, as is previous practice. It has no impact on what the actual ending cash balance will be for next year, because it will be a transfer out of cash and dollar transfer back in of cash at the beginning of next fiscal year. So what you're seeing is large transfers to accommodate state accounting rules regarding grant funds, and right now it's a lot of money for ARP-ESSER, and so that's where you'll see a little bit of higher revenue next year, but it will actually be a lower cash balance starting. So you'll still end the year with $69.3 million.
So just to be clear, that top line number, the 722 number for 23-24, includes ARP-ESSER as revenue. Is that correct?
It includes a transfer back into the fund from last year.
Okay.
So let me just walk through the process. As we get to the end of every fiscal year, the state requires us to be able to show that all of our funds have enough cash in them to cover outstanding expenses as well as obligations. And so we transfer out of the general fund into all of the other funds that are reimbursement basis, an amount equal to what is needed to meet those obligations. When July 1st rolls around, we transfer the money right back into the general fund. So I don't really consider that real revenue. It's money that's pulling out and going back in, but it's meeting the state requirement.
I also want to, when thinking about your question, and Chief Stockdale, make sure that what I'm sharing here is correct. So this is our general fund. All of ARP-ESSER is not in the general fund. So that's one thing I want to be clear. One thing also that was clear that was in the 5-year forecast that Chief Stockdale presented in November was that when he first came on to do this budget, and this is the first budget that Chief Stockdale has worked on, there were permanent costs being paid out of ARP-ESSER, such as our entire operations team. I think nurses were being paid out of ARP-ESSER. And there was a transfer of those funds, because those were permanent costs. They were not temporary. ARP-ESSER was, thinking about temporary dollars for the temporary time. Those were not temporary dollars, and they needed to come over to the general fund. And then those were things that were included when looking at those, and those did move over to the general fund, and things we would need to account for. Is that correct?
Yes.
Dr. Schroeder, go ahead.
I have a different question, and this has to do with extended day, extended year schools. Frankly, I don't remember if I asked this question last time or not. If I did, please just tell me and I won't repeat it. When we create an actual plan for any adjustments to the school day, whether it's to year-round calendars, extended year calendars, or to just extra minutes in schools, when we present that, it would be good to include in the public materials the detailed breakdown by school, what the existing setting is and what the new setting will be, and to describe what impact it'll have on each school, right? It's just that when we have summary data like this, some of the important details get elided, and it'll be good to clarify for the public what the actual impact is for each school.
Yes, point taken. A few things I do want to note when it comes to instructional days, and we can get that breakdown too as we continue to make a decision around this. This is something, like we said, it's in the state plan, but we haven't made the decision around this yet. For some of our year-round schools, as well as, for extended year schools and for some of the year-round schools, there are only 3 additional instructional days than what traditional schools get. Very valuable teacher professional development is embedded in the majority of the days, but student instructional days are only 3 instructional days. We do have one school where I believe there are 10 or 11 instructional days for students, but the rest of the additional days are all going for staff. But that's only one school. So we can share that breakdown per school. That is information that we can get for you. The other thing I want to note about this entire plan, and I forgot to mention this in our all-staff plan, we do have a landing page on our website. I know one of the questions you asked Vice Chair Hudnall, like where can parents get this information? I do not have it right off the top of my head, but I can get it, I can make sure we say it before the end of the meeting of where you can go on our website to get more information, see this information there, and just understand more of the impact. And we can continue to add things in there as we're getting questions through Let's Talk or as additional information gets. But we did want to make sure we let you know that we added that.
Thank you. Following up on Dr. Schroeder's questions, I had a question that also pertained to the recommendation or the draft recommendation around school calendars. If we create the diagram that he requested, I would like to add columns that also show whether that school has any selective criteria for admissions. I would also like to see what their star rating was on the last report card so that we can finally get real answers around how schools are performing around all the calendars. So I would ask for those 2 things. And I think the reason that I want to be very clear around these 2 requests. In this district, we have conflated the word choice with access. Yes, we have school choice. I also have a choice to stay at, the 5 seasons. I don't know if I have the access to the money to do so. And so I want to make sure that we all understand as a community, a city, that we have choice for schools, but that only matters if the parent can get the child there and back safely. It only matters if they can get through the lottery process to get in. It only matters if they can pass the test to get in. So school choice sounds great, but it's really about access and equity.
Ms. Welch-Howell, sorry.
Thank you, Chair Ellicott. So one thing that I just wanted to highlight, Dr. Morgan, you mentioned this, but I think it sort of bears repeating. As I look at the proposed sort of phase 1 and phase 2 cuts for central office, they're significant. If my math is correct, it's a little under 1/3 of the deficit that we're trying to close. So my question, and I know that the team is still working through the detail here, but what stops happening? What changes? What are some of the things that would be included potentially in that $45 million as you all think through closing that gap in the central office?
Great question. And just in case people didn't hear, one of the questions was just that more than 1/3 of the deficit reduction plan is coming directly from central office. And one of the things I shared in the all-staff meeting, and I truly appreciate, I want to give this shout out to our talent and human resources officer. I know he's in here somewhere. And when we're talking about cuts, I know schools are valuable because that's where our kids are, and we want to protect schools at all costs. But sometimes in the public, when we use central office, we use it as like central office, people aren't there. And I want to be clear, there are people at central office. Oh, there he is right there. And you said that just with compassion. There are people at central office. And when we think of $45 million, and whether it's 25, and there will be more than 25, or all the impacts, those are lives, those are people who have been working in our system for a while, and there is an impact there. And so I just want to name that because, of course, we are protecting schools. Schools are very important. Our central office is important, too. We are making that sacrifice to make sure that we, put this forth in helping our scholars, but it doesn't mean that there are not people that are impacted. But to answer your question, there's a process that we're going through now as an executive leadership team, and it's a peer review. It's where everyone's going through the rigor of looking at their department. And these are not just people. It is non-personnel, as I think the question was already asked. What does non-personnel mean? Those are supplies. There are sometimes programs. And then there are also professional service contracts. And we're going through and looking at some historic contracts that we've used, programs that we may want to stop, that are all housed at central office. I know each of the executive leadership team members receive a goal of what the dollars mean for their department. They will receive a stretch goal. And in going through the process that we're doing through executive leadership team, they will have to present both their goal and their stretch goal and get a peer review of what that looks like before we even begin to do the budgeting process. But that's how we're going through it. It's not easy. I mean, when you think about the 168 million, you're like, yeah, 41. But that's not easy. You know, taking on the comment that someone mentioned, for the top salaries in this district, that's 2.5 million, and that is a lot. But when looking at 41 million, we have work to do. And so I just want to note that this is a rigorous process, and there's work and programs behind this and tough decisions ahead of us. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. And then just one other kind of more specific question. We touched on this at the last meeting, but around the proposal on devices. So just not wanting it to get lost, that sort of that access to technology and the equity there is important. And so any information on enrollment usage and how we want to close that gap would be helpful too.
Yes, we believe this is very important, which is why we had members of the Council of the Great City Schools here last week, meeting with our Chief Operations Officer, Karen Thompson, and our IT Officer, Curtis Timmons. I know he may be around here. I know I saw him at our all-staff meeting. But we had members here doing a full audit. Oh, sorry, I've been speaking to this side and not this side. We had members of the Council of the Great City Schools doing a full audit, like they also did with safety and security, letting us know those recommendations. They knew our budget realities. They also wanted to see how we're actually implementing. We had leaders from districts across the country. Memphis Shelby was here. We had Boston Public Schools. We had Houston ISD. There were just many districts here working with us and actually seeing what are some of those recommendations. So we're trying to keep in light of the goals we're trying to get. IT access is really important. I think one of the biggest headlines around there is cybersecurity is very important. And so we're looking forward to that recommendations that come out of that, and also thinking if that will help us as we're making some of these decisions as well.
Thank you, Dr. Morgan, and thank you to my colleagues. I think the data points around the extended year and the various calendars are really important, and I don't need to reiterate it, but I think I know you know this, but I want to make sure that we have as much transparency as possible as we make those decisions around the details of what we'll do with the calendar, and having the data is just a first step. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Mrs. Link.
Thank you. I'm pleased to hear that the council was here and that we're having outside observers also help us. That's a great start, an idea. And around the extended day calendars, I think it's probably already asked, but I just want to make sure that we actually have a column that says, like, this has 2 more weeks and this costs X dollars. And so it's just pretty specific, and even by school. And I totally agree with what my other colleagues asked to have added. And then the last thing, I just want to be really clear that I understand. So the difference between this school year, the revenue, and then next school year, the revenue, and you don't have to even show it again, is $60 million. And I understand this ins and outs and that kind of thing. But bottom line, is it mainly ESSER dollars, or is it also like student population? I just want to make sure that I understand what we're, and I know it's just a projection, but what that difference is, like what is the $60 million difference?
It doesn't have to do with student enrollment or anything else. It
Okay.
purely has to do with the accounting maneuvers for ESSER.
Okay,
And
that's what I didn't quite hear ESSER, so that's,
a better explanation would be that in the DEW workbook, on the last page of the workbook, there is a detailed description which includes the last few years of revenue by category, and you'll see a category for advances in or returns, and you can see that dollar amount in there, and that explains the difference.
awesome. I see it now. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Briggs.
Excuse me, I don't have a question, I have a comment.
Yeah.
And just a general comment. I've been around a while, and I realize that there's a lot of emotion relative to these budget cuts. And I appreciate that emotion and passion. But I think it's really important to remember that Dr. Morgan didn't create this mess, but he and we, as board members, have to solve it. We have to fix it. And we are working very diligently to do that. And I also want to acknowledge that it collectively tears us apart to have to make these cuts and not pay people what they think they should get paid and what we think they should get paid. And I also want to emphasize the fact that we're volunteers. And why do we volunteer for this job? Because we are passionate about education and improving student outcomes. That's our main focus. So I think that's important to remember. And in my view, no problem is intractable. Every problem can be solved. But it's harder to solve it when all we're doing is talking about the problems. You can solve it when we work together to find solutions to the problems. That's how they get solved. So I think if we can do that constructively and come together with ideas, and we've already had some good ones tonight. So just my comment, and I hope that we can continue to work together to help resolve these issues.
Thank you. Any other discussion? No? Okay. All right. So just to close out before we move on, I do want to reiterate what I said, and in part, this is what I believe Mr. Briggs was saying, but what I said at the last board meeting, that the board and the CEO are not taking any of these decisions lightly. I want to reiterate what I clarified at the beginning, that this is not the budget. This is a way to get to a balanced budget, and that we are continuing to take in input, grapple with the data and the information that we have, and that our ultimate goal is to do as right as we can by our students and our communities within the constraints that we have, and that we, that are not necessarily constraints that we impose, right? They're related to state funding and other sources of funding. And so that's the intent. And to finalize, I want to say that we appreciate all of the comments. We appreciate the other input that we received. We appreciate Dr. Morgan and his team for all of the effort they have made to connect with the community and various stakeholders throughout this very difficult process. Mrs. Hudnall has an addition.
I'm so sorry, okay. CEO Morgan, just for the record, could you tell us what will happen if we cannot show the state of Ohio that we have a reasonable plan to meet solvency in the budget?
Yes, and I can also have Chief Stockdale share this. So in the first year, we would be in fiscal watch. I think we're actually currently in fiscal watch, which is why we have to do this plan. If we remain in this, we would be in fiscal caution, which the risk of that is that the state can actually take over the district. And so, Chief Stockdale, is there anything else you would add to that, or? No. Oh, okay. Got the terminology right. But yeah, the risk is we would be, the state can take over our district.
And the state doesn't take community input, does it? No. Okay. All right. Any further discussion? I want to make sure. All right. Mr. Stockdale, would you please call the roll on this motion?
Ms. Ellicott?
Yes.
Mrs. Hudnall?
Yes.
Mr. Briggs?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
I'm going to be a watchdog of this Scott money. We made as I recall, we made a promise to the kids when this money came through that it would be theirs. And until I have a comfort level around the use of those dollars, if not the entire 17 million, what we plan to do going forward to keep the promise that was made when those dollars came through, my vote is no.
Mrs. LeBron? Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Dr. Sridhar?
Yes.
Mrs. Welchow?
Yes.
Motion passes with a vote of 7-1.
Thank you. The resolution is adopted. The chair will now entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 6.02, authorizing the acceptance of gifts and grants from Cleveland Guardians Charities, MAC Installations and Consulting, LLC, Martha Holden Jennings Foundation, and Meyer, and authorizing the chief executive officer to spend the funds in accordance with the terms and conditions of the gifts and grants. Is there a motion?
So move. Second.
Thank you. Dr. Morgan, do you have any comment on this?
Yes, this is a routine resolution accepting this month's gifts and grants. Those gifts and grants include from the Cleveland Guardians Charities, a grant in the amount of $200,000 to support the CMSD Senate baseball and softball programs for the 2024 season. From MAC Installations and Consulting, a gift in the amount of $5,000 to support the IT department's Adopt a School program. From Martha Holden Jennings Foundation, a grant in the amount of $3,000 to develop the English curriculum, My Perspectives, at John Adams College and Career. Also from Martha Holden Jennings Foundation, a grant in the amount of $20,000 to support implementation of the Wave Maker program in 6 CMSD schools where students will gain knowledge about local and global water-related issues. From Meyer, a gift in the amount of $5,000 to support Project ACT in providing emergency food assistance to support experiencing homelessness.
Any discussion from board members? Mr. Stockdale, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Ellicott?
Yes.
Mrs. Hudnall? Mr. Briggs?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mrs. LeBron?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Dr. Sridhar? Yes. Mrs. Welchow?
Yes.
Motion passes with 8 votes.
Thank you. The resolution is adopted. The chair will now entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 7.01, authorizing the purchase of 2 used vehicles from a Cleveland Metropolitan School District authorized vendor for use in the career technical education programs for Max S. Hayes High School students' use as classroom teaching tools in an amount not to exceed $50,000 or $25,000 per vehicle. Dr. Morgan?
Max Hayes High School provides automotive training to students utilizing used vehicles. The existing vehicles are no longer appropriate due to age for the educational requirements of the program and need to be replaced with newer model years. Purchasing used vehicles has presented challenges, with a few vendors responding to requests for quotes, and those that respond are unwilling to price protect for sufficient time to seek specific board approval. This resolution will allow Max Hayes to purchase 2 used vehicles at a price not to exceed $25,000 each for a total purchase price not to exceed $50,000. Prior to purchasing, Max Hayes will obtain at least 3 written quotes.
Any discussion from board members? Mr. Stockdale, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Ellicott?
Yes.
Mrs. Hudnall? Mr. Briggs?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mrs. LeBron?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Dr. Sridhar?
Yes.
Mrs. Welchow?
Yes.
The motion passes with 8 votes.
Thank you. The resolution is adopted. The chair will now entertain a motion to adopt the following 4 resolutions. 8.01, authorizing the employment of teaching, non-teaching, and school-based administrative staff. 8.02, authorizing the reclassification of employees. 8.03, authorizing the retirements, resignations, and other separations of employees. And 8.04, authorizing the issuance of limited contracts for differential positions and the payment of additional earned compensation to employees. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Dr. Morgan, could we please have a brief explanation?
Yes, these 4 resolutions are our routine monthly equity and culture resolutions. Resolution 8.01, authorizing hiring of staff. 8.02, authorizes the reclassification of staff. 8.03, accepts resignations, retirements, and other separations. And 8.04, authorizes contracts for differential positions and additional earned compensation. More detail about each resolution, including the employee names and positions, is included in the exhibits to each resolution.
Thank you. Any discussion from board members? Mr. Stockdale, would you please call the roll on this motion?
Ms. Ellicott?
Yes.
Mrs. Hudnall?
Yes.
Mr. Briggs?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mrs. LeBron?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Dr. Sridhar?
Yes.
Mrs. Welchow?
Yes.
Motion passes with 8 votes.
Thank you. These resolutions are adopted, and this concludes the board's consideration of resolutions for this evening. Is there any old business? Is there any new business? Okay, for new business, I want to remind the community that the nominating panel is still accepting applications from people interested in being considered for appointment to the vacant Board of Education seat for an unexpired term ending June 30, 2025. The nominating panel considers applications directly and then nominates them to the mayor for his consideration. Applications are available on the City of Cleveland website. Next, under state law, the CMSD Board of Education serves as the taxing authority and sole appointing authority of the Cleveland Public Library. This means it is our board's responsibility each year to make an appointment to the Board of Trustees to the Cleveland Public Library and to fill any midterm vacancies on the Board of Trustees. There is currently a vacancy for an unexpired term ending July 1, 2029. Persons interested in being considered for appointment to this Library Board of Trustees seat may submit an application on the CMSD Board webpage at clevelandmetroschool.org/board no later than March 12th. Applicants must be registered voters in Cuyahoga County. The next board meeting will be a board work session on Tuesday, March 12th at 6:30 p.m. at Garrett Morgan High School, 4600 Detroit Avenue. And then I would also like to give a future heads up for the March board business meeting that will be just a week after that board work session. It's a little bit different than we typically do it on Tuesday, March 19th, since the following week is our district's spring break. That day is also primary election day, and since the originally scheduled location of that business meeting, Halley School, is serving as a polling place for that day, we have changed the location of the March 19th business meeting to the nearby Waverly School. Those wishing to attend or watch the live stream of that business meeting should be sure to vote earlier that day or take advantage of early voting by mail or at the Board of Elections. The chair will now entertain a motion that the board enter into executive session for the purpose of considering the appointment and employment of public employees and officials, preparing for negotiations with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms of their employment, and conferring with attorneys concerning disputes involving the Board of Education that are the subject of pending or imminent court action.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Stockdale, please call the roll.
Ms. Ellicott?
Yes.
Mrs. Hudnall? Yes. Mr. Briggs?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mrs. LeBron?
Yes.
Mrs. Link? Yes. Dr. Streetar?
Yes.
Mrs. Welchow? Yes. Motion passes with 8 votes.
Thank you. The motion passes, and the board will now move into executive session. Following executive session, the board will return to this room to briefly conduct some further business.
great day whenever we can celebrate just such a robust partnership.
Together, we are closing gaps to healthcare access, and we are improving health outcomes by bringing care and services directly into our community, where patients live, where they work, where they play, and where they learn.
Wellness center that is here at Glenville, but we also have our wellness centers that are opening at Clara Westrop and then also at Mound. So we're covering our city.
In schools with school-based healthcare, students have improved school attendance, students have better performance, they're more likely to make it to the next grade, and high school graduation rates increase just from having healthcare in the schools. Also, families don't have to take as much time off of work, and in those schools they see increased engagement with the families in the schools. So this is a really big deal. This is really important for the public health in our city.
The services that we offer here at the Wellness Center are similar to anything you get at a primary care office. We can do physicals, work, sports, your annual physical. We can do lab testing. We can do immunizations. We can do urgent care visits. We can do care for chronic disease like asthma and diabetes. We also can do integrated behavioral health. Additional services we offer and we're able to expand with the grant are dental services, and we also offer telehealth services as well.
We keep underwear, socks, hygiene products, you know, deodorant, lotion, anything, hygiene products you need. And if we don't have it, we'll find it.
This program lays a strong and sturdy foundation of health and wellness that students can build on for the rest of their lives, their long and healthy lives.
Our wellness centers are more than just a place for treatment. They are sanctuaries of holistic care, where the multifaceted health needs of our CMSD family are met with comprehensive approach.
George Washington Carver was one of the greatest inventors in American history. He discovered more than 300 uses for peanuts, which included using them in chili sauce, shampoo, shaving cream, and glue.
Born into slavery, Carver left home at a young age to pursue education. He would eventually earn a master's degree from Iowa State University. Carver went on to become the first black faculty member at Iowa State.
After leaving Iowa State, Carver was hired at Tuskegee Institute, where he taught for 47 years. He is credited with developing the school's agriculture department into a strong research center.
While a professor at Tuskegee Institute, Carver developed groundbreaking technique using nitrogen to restore depleted soil.
While there's a good debate on who actually invented peanut butter, Carver's extensive research for peanuts contributed significantly to the popularity of peanut butter.
Carver was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame after his death. America recognized his brilliance.
That's why I am proud to attend George Washington Carver Pre-K 8 School.
Hi, welcome to Cleveland Schoolyard's annual Lantern Festival. Everything over here above you, above your head, was made and painted by the students. We sat here in class day in and day out working on our lanterns, on the waterfall, on the lake.
One of the traditions in Chinese New Year is to create lanterns and write your wishes on them and to float them out onto water. And because it's February, we didn't think we could do anything on real water, so we created a glow black light pond installation in our Black Box Theater.
This is the year of the dragon. We have all the stations, how to say hello, how to say thank you, how to say goodbye, how to say Happy New Year, 新年快乐. I just feel like this is a great time for them build up their skills of being resilient, their hardworking, their collaboration skills, bring up their cultural awareness and global awareness. So I think this is a great time for them to grow.
We love our students, but when we see what they are capable of, it's just an amazing feeling.
Mary Church Terrell was an activist and educator who championed racial equality and women's right to vote.
She graduated from Oberlin College. She taught at the first African American public school in Washington, D.C., and became the first African American woman appointed to a school board of a major city.
Mary Church Terrell joined an anti-lynching campaign after one of her friends was murdered simply because his grocery store business competed with white businesses.
Mary Church Terrell believed African Americans would help end racial discrimination through education, work, and community activism.
Mary Church Terrell created the expression, "lifting as we climb." That phrase became the motto of the National Association of Colored Women, the group she helped found in 1896. She served as president of the group from 1896 to 1901.
In 1909, Mary Church Terrell was among the founders and charter members of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
Mary Church Terrell helped overturn the segregation of restaurants in the nation's capital when she and a group of friends refused to leave a Washington, D.C. establishment that refused to serve them. She was 86 years old.
Mary Church Terrell fought for equal rights for African Americans
and women.
And that is why I am so proud to attend the school named after her.
We're investing in them, and we're showing them that we know that they have what it takes to go to the next level, and we want to make sure that we put all the tools that we can into their toolbox to make sure that they can go to that next level on up, not only on the field, but as a whole person,
right to the second baseman. That's it. Game is over. Lincoln West wins 7-4.
It's been an amazing experience. Chess takes me out from all my stress or any problems that I have. It's just fun, you know? I like playing chess.
Excellent, where he pulls back and then he leaps with that, pushes off with that 1 foot. That's called a grab start.
Three-pointer up, and wow!
So today is about y'all. Having fun, showcasing your skills, being good teammates, communicating with one another. Don't be afraid to make a mistake just because the bright light's on with the camera, all right? Do your thing. Do what you've been doing. How long y'all been playing basketball? Long time, right? Little kids, you're well equipped.
It's being in the arena, you know, putting yourself out there and just performing under pressure. Those are important skills.
There's a lot of people that is rooting for us as a team to bring history back to Cleveland. You understand? We have no doubt. We've been in this thing for 11 to 12 months, you know, so we just got to go and finish it out.
Steps up throwing. Coverage is good. Oh, what a grab! Going up to get it and coming down with it is Demarion Whitney, the tight end.
Words really can't explain how I feel. You know, I'm just thankful that we could bring something to the city of Cleveland and to our communities, to our school system. So many people have tried it for so many years.
Mary McLeod Bethune was an educator, philanthropist, and champion for the advancement of African Americans.
Mrs. Bethune was a teacher and founded the Daytona Normal Industrial Institute in 1904 for girls. It merged with the Cookman Institute to become Bethune-Cookman College.
Mary McLeod Bethune inspires me
and me
to be educators.
She was one of the most influential African American leaders of her day. As a founder of several organizations that allowed young people, especially women, to have a voice in social justice as well as to find jobs.
Mrs. Bethune served as an advisor to not one, not two, but 5 U.S. presidents. It was the first African American to have a monument erected on public parkland in Washington, D.C.
Mary McLeod Bethune was a great educator, and that is why I am proud to attend a school named after her.
great day whenever we can celebrate just such a robust partnership.
Together, we are closing gaps to healthcare access, and we are improving health outcomes by bringing care and services directly into our community, where patients live, where they work, where they play, and where they learn.
Wellness center that is here at Glenville, but we also have our wellness centers that are opening at Clara Westropp and then also at Mound. So we're covering our city.
In schools with school-based healthcare, students have improved school attendance, students have better performance, they're more likely to make it to the next grade, and high school graduation rates increase just from having healthcare in the schools. Also, families don't have to take as much time off of work, and in those schools they see increased engagement with the families in the schools. So this is a really big deal. This is really important for the public health in our city.
The services that we offer here at the Wellness Center are similar to anything you get at a primary care office. We can do physicals, work, sports, your annual physical. We can do lab testing. We can do immunizations. We can do urgent care visits. We can do care for chronic disease like asthma and diabetes. We also can do integrated behavioral health. Additional services we offer and we're able to expand with the grant are dental services, and we also offer telehealth services as well.
We keep underwear, socks, hygiene products, deodorant, lotion, anything, hygiene products you need. And if we don't have it, we'll find it.
This program lays a strong and sturdy foundation of health and wellness that students can build on for the rest of their lives, their long and healthy lives.
Our wellness centers are more than just a place for treatment. They are sanctuaries of holistic care, where the multifaceted health needs of our CMSD family are met with comprehensive approach.
George Washington Carver was one of the greatest inventors in American history. He discovered more than 300 uses for a peanut, which included using them in chili sauce, shampoo, shaving cream, and glue.
Born into slavery, Carver left home at a young age to pursue an education. He would eventually earn a master's degree from Iowa State University. Carver went on to become the first Black faculty member at Iowa State.
After leaving Iowa State, Carver was hired at Tuskegee Institute, where he taught for 47 years. He is credited with developing the school's agriculture department into a strong research center.
While a professor at Tuskegee Institute, Carver developed groundbreaking technique using nitrogen to restore depleted soil.
While there's a good debate on who actually invented peanut butter, Carver's extensive research for peanuts contributed significantly to the popularity of peanut butter.
Carver was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame after his death. America recognized his brilliance.
That's why I am proud to attend George Washington Carver Pre-K 8 school.
Hi, welcome to Cleveland Schoolyard's annual Lantern Festival. Everything over here above your head, was made and painted by the students. We sat here in class day in and day out working on our lanterns, on the waterfall, on the lake.
One of the traditions in Chinese New Year is to create lanterns and write your wishes on them and to float them out onto water. And because it's February, we didn't think we could do anything on real water, so we created a glow black light pond installation in our Black Box Theater.
This is the year of the dragon. We have all the stations, how to say hello, how to say thank you, how to say goodbye, how to say Happy New Year, 新年快乐. I just feel like this is a great time for them build up the skills of being resilient, their hard working, their collaboration skills, bring up their cultural awareness and global awareness. So I think this is a great time for them to grow.
We love our students, but when we see what they are capable of, it's just an amazing feeling.
Mary Church Terrell was an activist and educator who championed racial equality and women's right to vote.
She graduated from Oberlin College. She taught at the first African American public school in Washington, D.C., and became the first African American woman appointed to a school board of a major city.
Mary Church Terrell joined the anti-lynching campaign after one of her friends was murdered simply because his grocery store business competed with white businesses.
Mary Church Terrell believed African Americans would help end racial discrimination through education, work, and community activism.
Mary Church Terrell created the expression, "lifting as we climb." That phrase became the motto of the National Association of Colored Women, the group she helped found in 1896. She served as president of the group from 1896 to 1901.
In 1909, Mary Church Terrell was among the founders and charter members of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
Mary Church Terrell helped overturn the segregation of restaurants in the nation's capital when she and a group of friends refused to leave a Washington, D.C. establishment that refused to serve them. She was 86 years old.
Mary Church Terrell fought for equal rights for African Americans
and women.
And that is why I am so proud to attend the school named after her.
We're investing in them, and we're showing them that we know that they have what it takes to go to the next level, and we want to make sure that we put all the tools that we can into their toolbox to make sure that they can go to that next level on up, not only on the field, but as a whole person.
Right to the second baseman. That's it. Game is over. Lincoln West wins 7-4.
It's been an amazing experience. Chess takes me out from all my stress or any problems that I have. It's just fun, you know? I like playing chess.
Excellent, where he pulls back and then he leaps with that, pushes off with that 1 foot. That's called a grab start.
Three-pointer up, and wow!
So today is about y'all. Having fun, showcasing your skills, being good teammates, communicating with one another. Don't be afraid to make a mistake just because the bright light's on with the camera, all right? Do your thing. Do what you've been doing. How long y'all been playing basketball? Long time, right? Little kids, you're well equipped.
It's being in the arena, you know, putting yourself out there and just performing under pressure. Those are important skills.
There's a lot of people that is rooting for us as a team to bring history back to Cleveland. You understand? We have no doubt. We've been in this thing for 11 to 12 months, you know, so we just got to go and finish it out.
Steps up throwing. Coverage is good. Oh, what a grab! Going up to get it and coming down with it is Whitney, the tight end.
Words really can't explain how I feel. You know, I'm just thankful that we could bring something to the city of Cleveland and to our communities, to our school system. So many people have tried it for so many years.
Mary McLeod Bethune was an educator, philanthropist, and champion for the advancement of African Americans.
Mrs. Bethune was a teacher and founded the Daytona Normal Industrial Institute in 1904 for girls. It merged with the Cookman Institute to become Bethune-Cookman College.
Mary McLeod Bethune inspires me
and me
to be educators.
She was one of the most influential African American leaders of her day. As a founder of several organizations that allowed young people, especially women, to have a voice in social justice as well as to find jobs.
Mrs. Bethune served as an advisor to not one, not two, but 5 U.S. presidents. It was the first African American to have a monument erected on public parkland in Washington, D.C.
Mary McLeod Bethune was a great educator, and that is why I am proud to attend a school named after her.
Great day whenever we can celebrate just such a robust partnership.
Together, we are closing gaps to healthcare access, and we are improving health outcomes by bringing care and services directly into our community, where patients live, where they work, where they play, and where they learn.
Wellness center that is here at Glenville, but we also have our wellness centers that are opening at Clara Westrock and then also at Mound. So we're covering our city.
In schools with school-based healthcare, students have improved school attendance, students have better performance, they're more likely to make it to the next grade, and high school graduation rates increase just from having healthcare in the schools. Also, families don't have to take as much time off of work, and in those schools they see increased engagement with the families in the schools. So this is a really big deal. This is really important for the public health in our city.
The services that we offer here at the Wellness Center are similar to anything you get at a primary care office. We can do physicals, work, sports, your annual physical. We can do lab testing. We can do immunizations. We can do urgent care visits. We can do care for chronic disease like asthma and diabetes. We also can do integrated behavioral health. Additional services we offer and we're able to expand with the grant are dental services, and we also offer telehealth services as well.
We keep underwear, socks, hygiene products, you know, deodorant, lotion, anything, hygiene products you need. And if we don't have it, we'll find it.
This program lays a strong and sturdy foundation of health and wellness that students can build on for the rest of their lives, their long and healthy lives.
Our wellness centers are more than just a place for treatment. They are sanctuaries of holistic care, where the multifaceted health needs of our CMSD family are met with comprehensive approach.
George Washington Carver was one of the greatest inventors in American history. He discovered more than 300 uses for peanuts, which included using them in chili sauce, shampoo, shaving cream, and glue.
Born into slavery, Carver left home at a young age to pursue an education. He would eventually earn a master's degree from Iowa State University. Carver went on to become the first Black faculty member at Iowa State.
After leaving Iowa State, Carver was hired at Tuskegee Institute, where he taught for 47 years. He is credited with developing the school's agriculture department into a strong research center.
While a professor at Tuskegee Institute, Carver developed groundbreaking technique using nitrogen to restore depleted soil.
While there's a good debate on who actually invented peanut butter, Carver's extensive research for peanuts contributed significantly to the popularity of peanut butter.
Carver was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame after his death. America recognized his brilliance.
That's why I am proud to attend George Washington Carver Pre-K 8 School.
Hi, welcome to Cleveland School Yard's annual Lantern Festival. Everything over here above your head, was made and painted by the students. We sat here in class day in and day out working on our lanterns, on the waterfall, on the lake.
One of the traditions in Chinese New Year is to create lanterns and write your wishes on them and to float them out onto water. And because it's February, we didn't think we could do anything on real water, so we created a glow black light pond installation in our Black Box Theater.
This is the year of the dragon. We have all the stations, how to say hello, how to say thank you, how to say goodbye, how to say Happy New Year, 新年快乐. I just feel like this is a great time for them to build up their skills of being resilient, their hard working, their collaboration skills, bring up their cultural awareness and a global awareness. So I think this is a great time for them to grow.
We love our students, but when we see what they are capable of, it's just an amazing feeling.
Mary Church Terrell was an activist and educator who championed racial equality and women's right to vote.
She graduated from Oberlin College. She taught at the first African American public school in Washington, D.C. and became the first African American woman appointed to a school board of a major city.
Mary Church Terrell joined the anti-lynching campaign after one of her friends was murdered simply because his grocery store business competed with white businesses.
Mary Church Terrell believed African Americans would help end racial discrimination through education, work, and community activism.
Mary Church Terrell created the expression, lifting as we climb. That phrase became the motto of the National Association of Colored Women, the group she helped found in 1896. She served as president of the group from 1896 to 1901.
In 1909, Mary Church Terrell was among the founders and charter members of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
Mary Church Terrell helped overturn the segregation of restaurants in the nation's capital when she and a group of friends refused to leave a Washington, D.C. establishment that refused to serve them. She was 86 years old.
Mary Church Terrell fought for equal rights for African Americans
and women.
And that is why I am so proud to attend the school named after her.
We're investing in them, and we're showing them that we know that they have what it takes to go to the next level, and we want to make sure that we put all the tools that we can into their toolbox to make sure that they can go to that next level on up, not only on the field, but as a whole person.
Right to the second baseman. That's it. Game is over. Lincoln West wins 7-4.
It's been an amazing experience. Chess takes me out from all my stress or any problems that I have. It's just fun, you know? I like playing chess.
Excellent, where he pulls back and then he leaps with that, pushes off with that 1 foot. That's called a grab start.
Three-pointer up, and wow!
So today is about y'all. Having fun, showcasing your skills, being good teammates, communicating with one another. Don't be afraid to make a mistake just because the bright light's on with the camera, all right? Do your thing. Do what you've been doing. How long y'all been playing basketball? Long time, right? Little kids, you're well equipped.
It's being in the arena, you know, putting yourself out there and just performing under pressure. Those are important skills.
There's a lot of people that is rooting for us as a team to bring history back to Cleveland. You understand? We have no doubt. We've been in this thing for 11 to 12 months, you know, so we just got to go and finish it out.
Steps up throwing. Coverage is good. Oh, what a grab! Going up to get it and coming down with it is Whitney, the tight end.
Words really can't explain how I feel. You know, I'm just thankful that we could bring something to the city of Cleveland and to our communities, to our school system. So many people have tried it for so many years.
Mary Bethune was an educator, philanthropist, and champion for the advancement of African Americans.
Mrs. Bethune was a teacher and founded the Daytona Normal Industrial Institute in 1904 for girls. It merged with the Cookman Institute to become Bethune-Cookman College.
Mary Bethune inspires me
and me
to be educators.
She was one of the most influential African American leaders of her day. As a founder of several organizations that allowed young people, especially women, to have a voice in social justice as well as to find jobs.
Mrs. Bethune served as an advisor to not one, not two, but 5 U.S. presidents. It was the first African American to have a monument erected on public parkland in Washington, D.C.
Mary Bethune was a great educator, and that is why I am proud to attend a school named after her.
great day whenever we can celebrate just such a robust partnership.
Together, we are closing gaps to healthcare access, and we are improving health outcomes by bringing care and services directly into our community, where patients live, where they work, where they play, and where they learn.
Wellness center that is here at Glenville, but we also have our wellness centers that are opening at Clara Westrop and then also at Mound. So we're covering our city.
In schools with school-based healthcare, students have improved school attendance, students have better performance, they're more likely to make it to the next grade, and high school graduation rates increase just from having healthcare in the schools. Also, families don't have to take as much time off of work, and in those schools they see increased engagement with the families in the schools. So this is a really big deal. This is really important for the public health in our city.
The services that we offer here at the Wellness Center are similar to anything you get at a primary care office. We can do physicals, work, sports, your annual physical. We can do lab testing. We can do immunizations. We can do urgent care visits. We can do care for chronic disease like asthma and diabetes. We also can do integrated behavioral health. Additional services we offer and we're able to expand with the grant are dental services, and we also offer telehealth services as well.
We keep underwear, socks, hygiene products, you know, deodorant, lotion, anything, hygiene products you need. And if we don't have it, we'll find it.
This program lays a strong and sturdy foundation of health and wellness that students can build on for the rest of their lives, their long and healthy lives.
Our wellness centers are more than just a place for treatment. They are sanctuaries of holistic care, where the multifaceted health needs of our CMSD family are met with comprehensive approach.
George Washington Carver was one of the greatest inventors in American history. He discovered more than 300 uses for peanuts, which included using them in chili sauce, shampoo, shaving cream, and glue.
Born into slavery, Carver left home at a young age to pursue education. He would eventually earn a master's degree from Iowa State University. Carver went on to become the first black faculty member at Iowa State.
After leaving Iowa State, Carver was hired at Tuskegee Institute, where he taught for 47 years. He is credited with developing the school's agriculture department into a strong research center.
While a professor at Tuskegee Institute, Carver developed groundbreaking technique using nitrogen to restore depleted soil.
While there's a good debate on who actually invented peanut butter, Carver's extensive research for peanuts contributed significantly to the popularity of peanut butter.
Carver was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame after his death. America recognized his brilliance.
That's why I am proud to attend George Washington Carver Pre-K 8 School.
Hi, welcome to Cleveland Schoolyard's annual Lantern Festival. Everything over here above you, above your head, was made and painted by the students. We sat here in class day in and day out working on our lanterns, on the waterfall, on the lake.
One of the traditions in Chinese New Year is to create lanterns and write your wishes on them and to float them out onto water. And because it's February, we didn't think we could do anything on real water, so we created a glow black light pond installation in our Black Box Theater.
This is the year of the dragon. We have all the stations, how to say hello, how to say thank you, how to say goodbye, how to say Happy New Year, 新年快乐. I just feel like this is a great time for them build up the skills of being resilient, their hardworking, their collaboration skills, bring up their cultural awareness and global awareness. So I think this is a great time for them to grow.
We love our students, but when we see what they are capable of, it's just an amazing feeling.
Thank you. The board is now back in public session. The chair will now entertain a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the suspension of a teaching employee. Dr. Morgan, any explanation?
This resolution is to approve a recommendation for a 3-day suspension without pay for violation of district policies, procedures, and rules.
Thank you. Is there any discussion from board members? Hearing no further discussion, Mr. Stockdale, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Ellicott?
Yes.
Mrs. Hudnall?
Yes.
Mr. Briggs?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mrs. LeBron?
Yes.
Mrs. Link? Dr. Sridhar?
Yes.
Mrs. Welch-Howe?
Yes.
Motion passes with 8 votes.
Thank you. The resolution passes. The chair will now entertain a motion to adjourn this board business meeting. Second. Hearing no objection, this meeting is adjourned. Have a good night.